A spot in the top 8 is on the line this afternoon as Adelaide Oval hosts the Crows and the Dockers, kicking off a triple header of Easter Saturday footy. Welcome to our new listeners joining us around the country. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams with you for the call. There are no late changes. Harry Schomburg is the sub for the Crows. Matthew Johnson for the Dockers. We'll preview the game in a moment with Bounce Down about 15 minutes away. But first we can head downstairs to Neil and Steve. They've caught up with Fremantle coach Justin Longmuir.
Thanks, Aaron. Well, Justin, lovely to see you in Adelaide. Is it good to get away from the noise of Perth?
Oh, not really. It's good to be in Adelaide, don't get me wrong. But there's nothing wrong with being home. We had a good win last week and, not sure the basis of that question, to be honest.
Stuttering start to the season and last week put you in really good nick coming into this game. What changed last week? What really did you get right?
We connected a bit better inside 50 and finished our work off. I think we've been doing a fair bit right, getting a lot of inside 50s, like 65 inside 50s round one. You should be able to kick a winning score and we couldn't. So it's good to get 100 points on the board last week. Started the game well in the first half and the players would have got a lot of confidence from that.
You would have seen Adelaide last week played pretty well on the showdown. What tends to happen over here a little bit, there's quite often a letdown after a showdown. Do you experience the same sort of thing with the Western Derby?
I think sometimes you've got to be careful of that. But, with probably the inconsistency a little bit with the start of our season, haven't noticed that around the playing group this week. They've been really focused and trained really well again. So, I'm hoping to see an improved performance from last week.
What impressed you with the Crows last week against Port?
There's a fair bit to like, and probably not just the Port game. I think they've played some really good footy across their better quarters, and a really dangerous forward line off the back of getting some pretty good supply from their midfield and their ball movement. So. We need to make sure we get a bit of delay through the middle of the ground and not allow them to get too much speed on the ball because that forward line's got a lot of threats, whether it be talls or smalls. So we'll have our hands full, but we also think there's some opportunities.
And Luke Jackson moving across from Melbourne, he was your big name recruit. Probably the first couple of rounds maybe didn't have the impact you would have liked, but I thought last week he just looked like he's starting to get pretty close. A couple of marks almost stuck, and you'd be hoping pretty good conditions today that he can really start to turn it on.
Probably just wasn't making the most of his opportunities, a bit like us as a team in the first 2 weeks. And you're right, last week he took a couple of nice marks inside 50 and was able to finish it off. I just love his intensity around the ball. He had 7 tackles last week, and his follow-up in the rucks, really, it's like having another midfielder. So, he'll continue to build, and we always knew it was a long-term thing, and it was great to see him get some reward for effort last week.
He was at one stage thrown into the middle as a midfielder. Is that something we might see this afternoon?
Yeah, we're trying to evolve his game and play him to his strengths. And he's a really good ground level player. He pressures well. He intercepts well as a midfielder with his long wingspan around clearance, and his drive and his use of hands is really strong as well. So we'll continue to evolve his game.
Just one thing aside from the game today, Nat Fyfe, there was a story in the paper in the West about the possibility that Sydney might chase him. He's out of contract at the end of the season. Is that sort of something that distresses you to have that mentioned at this stage of the season, 4 weeks in, to have stuff like that emerge?
Well, to be honest, speak to Fyfe a fair bit and see his attitude around the club, and nothing to me shows that he's not anything other than 100% invested in what we're trying to do. Clearly there's some frustration with him that he can't get out in the park consistently, but as far as his investment in the footy club and his passion to help us go forward as a footy club, I haven't seen anything that would say that he was looking to leave. So that's all I need to say on that.
Justin, thanks for your time. Good luck this afternoon.
Thanks, Lakes.
Great to have the Fremantle coach with us ahead of Bounce Down at the Adelaide Oval. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson, and Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams with you. No late changes. So for the Crows, we have McHenry and Jones in for Pedler and Berry. For Fremantle, they have Banfield and Walker in for the injured Chapman and Frederick. The subs, Schomburg and Johnson. A big game for both these clubs. The kings of their respective states at the moment, Jamo, because because they are the winners of the showdown in the Derby. So you've got the Crow Eaters and the Sandgropers up against each other. Really exciting considering they're both 1 and 2. And as we touched on a lot through the pre-game, for our new listeners just joining us, you've got two teams who started to find their feet last week, and their system feels like it's starting to get to its best, which is free-flowing, high-turnover footy. Now they just need to continue that this afternoon.
I think both teams, Aaron, play a similar style. And listen to Justin Longmuir then too. They're saying they've got to delay the speed on the ball, for Adelaide when they do get hold of it because of the opportunities up forward. And conversely, though, Stephen, too, it's the other way as well. Like when you have got Fremantle's small forward line, and they've got an inside 50 so many times. 65 in the round 1, we only kicked 7 goals. 53 round 2 to only kick 10. 63 last week to kick 16 against West Coast. So I think to your point, they're getting better, and Adelaide have probably shown glimpses in their first 2 rounds, which they went down to GWS and Richmond, but last week really put it together. So I'm really enthralled as to the outcome today and the contest for two similar sides. The ruck work in the middle, Sean Darcy and also Luke Jackson, albeit 69 hit-outs to West Coast 16 last week, hugely dominant, but the clearance was 40 to 34. So, the opposition will be aware of that. The Riley O'Brien and that matchup against those two in the ruck. I think Riley O'Brien's work maybe around the ground will probably sort of get the better of him. But Fremantle's record here isn't all that flash. They've been here 10 times and they've lost 8, and they won 1 last year against Adelaide by 1 point. So, really enthralling. You can make a case for both sides.
Their record against Adelaide is pretty good, though. They've won 4 of the last 5. Obviously, a couple of those on the road. But, yeah, the clearance stat is an interesting one. They're ranked number 1 in the AFL for hit-outs to advantage differential, but 15th for clearance differential. And meanwhile, Adelaide, they love scoring from clearances, so 46.7 points per game, the first in the league, 4 points from clearances. So the midfield is really going to be an enthralling battle because Darcy and O'Brien both can win hit-outs. You've got the second and fourth best ruckman in the league statistically. But Fremantle, when it hits the ground, just can't seem to find it.
Well, again, and the case for Adelaide, their first possession, centre bounces, the worst in the competition too. So it's just almost line ball for both of these sides. And I guess the game today, it's so congested. You've got to be clean. You've got to be able to use the football better than the opposition. And if you can do that for 2.5, 3 quarters, you're probably going to win majority of the games that you play. So, look, it's a fast track. I think both sides, at times, they want to move the football quick. There's no doubt about that. But there's at times you've got to be able to slow it down. Adelaide were able to do that, and they worked their way through Port Adelaide last week. So, again, a case for both sides to actually take it to each other. And again, I think Justin Longmuir, I just felt there was a bit of, not tension, but there was some determination in his voice, the way he responded to some of the questions.
That is a bit of his character, though. Yeah. He's not a cartoon person at all. He hasn't got a lot of expressions. He's very straight with his demeanour. The text line, if you do want to get in touch with us across the afternoon, 0437 774 774. That's 0437 774 774. Kevin in Myrtleford has done just that and says, looking forward to the call team. Have a good game. I reckon this is going to definitely be a belter, and it's the first of 4 big games today. I mean, Richmond, the Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, Gold Coast, Sydney, Port are all going to be pretty tight, I reckon. And to be honest, Jamo, you're the one we should be asking about because you seem to be destroying the ABC Adelaide tipping competition here. I mean, you got Brisbane on Thursday night once again. Every time that there seems to be a fairly one-sided game, you seem to pick the underdog pretty comfortably.
Well, I've been probably lucky. I've been doing it for quite some time, and I don't know why I'm actually going so well at the moment. So, no.
It's a long year, Jamo.
Who's your tip for today?
I'm actually going to go with Adelaide because it's at home, coming off last week's win. I think for that particular reason, I think, Riley Thilthorpe started to hit his straps. 5 goals last week. Isaac Rankin is really lighting up the forward line. Josh Rochelli through the middle, kicking goals. Lockie Murphy, the defensive pressure. And thought Adelaide, their back line, under enormous pressure for 3.5 quarters last week. It was probably the best I've seen them perform, and then used the football decisively as opposed to taking some time. They were really good at getting it out and slowing the game down when it needed to. So, for me, Adelaide here at home.
Steve, how do you see today playing out?
Well, I've gone for Adelaide. I just think that, Freo haven't been great this year. Really disappointing against the Saints. To lose at home to North Melbourne, only by a point, but to lose to North Melbourne is a game. I would imagine at the start of the year, Freo would have sat down and thought we should be 3-0 coming into the Adelaide game, and a real opportunity to go 4-0. So, to be 1-2, and then I'm predicting they'll be 1-3 after today. But there's a lot of quality in the Freo side. I think a role revolves around who's going to win that ball through the midfield. Laird is such an important player, and I would imagine that Freo certainly have got somebody that can sit with him and certainly blunt his influence. James Aish has done that job pretty well over the last couple of years, so it wouldn't surprise me to see James go to Rory Laird and try to cull him from getting the 35 to 40 touches he quite often gets through that midfield for the Crows. But Freo's forward line, as we mentioned, put a lot of pressure on the opposition, so if they can really get to Adelaide and cause a little bit of panic, get those rough kicks out, set that wall up, play the footy in their forward half, they certainly would rate themselves a chance to win. But just the way Adelaide played last week, the options they have in their forward half, I just think they might have a little bit too much here today.
It's a funny story, Fremantle. 15-win side, finished 5th. They lose David Mundy, which is a bit of a blow, but he was obviously getting on. You add Luke Jackson and Jager O'Meara, and somehow you get worse. Do you feel like they're still the finals calibre team, Gemma?
I think they are. And Justin Longmuir touched on connection. He felt that they got that right last week, and that's what they struggled. So it might just take some time for those that are coming in to just find their feet and work their way through it. Again, they're not an overly experienced. There's a couple of players that have played some significant games. Michael Walters is 200. The rest of them, Nathan Wilson, 50, 154, Taberner, 119. See, he's been quiet too this year.
Goalless the last two.
Yeah, for a bloke that is normally, I guess, the go-to, and he was last year. This year he's been really quiet. So,
if you compare both forward lines, Jamo, it's a no contest, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
when you look at the dangers that Adelaide have up there. Taylor Walker, if he gets the ball, normally kicks a goal. Then the two young guys that kicked all three young guys that kicked all the goals last week. There just seems to be so many dangerous options up forward for Adelaide. Whereas you look at Freo and. You said Taberner's been out of form. Luke Jackson probably hasn't hit his straps yet. Walters hasn't kicked a lot of goals. Schultz is a hard-working forward, but not someone that's going to blow you out the water. And the same with Swiskowski. So, Adelaide certainly looked to be a lot better performed up forward.
Game 50 for Sam Switkowski as well, and he got injected into the midfield a fair bit last week, ended up with 21 touches and the 2 goals. So we may see him running through there a fair bit this afternoon. And Lockie Schultz, as you touched on, Steve, even though he's only had the 4 from the opening 3, he had 3 goals against Adelaide last year. So the round 1 matchup where they won by a point, he was certainly influential. But a lot has changed since then. The 3 Brownlow votes from that game went to Ben Keys, who had 37 touches. He's not getting 37 this afternoon. He's playing half forward now. And Andrew Brayshaw was the 2 vote getter as well. So, a lot's changed in a year's time.
Yeah, no. I think, Ben Keys' work rate, he's that sort of high half-forward wing, comes in behind the football too and or a go-to. So it works exceptionally hard, but that probably just adds weight to the conversation. We're talking about the depth and I guess what they're throwing through the middle of the ground. And look, a lot will rely on Alex Pearce and Luke Ryan, the 2 key defenders for Fremantle, to hold down those that go through the forward line. In Philthorpe when he's there, Taylor Walker and Riley O'Brien if he does work his way forward.
Great to have Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson, Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams with us on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the Listen app across the country for the Crows and the Dockers. Hope you're enjoying your Easter Saturday. Big game for both sides who are 1 and 2. To kick us off here at the Adelaide Oval, here's Neil Cross.
Overcast day at the Adelaide Oval, 18 degrees now, supposed to get to around 20. Suggestion of sun from time to time. We'll wait and see if we get any rain. There was a few showers this morning. Down there before with Stephen Williams, and the ground looked in very good nick as always, and not much dew on the grass.
Perfect, wasn't it, Crossy?
Nothing. Made me excited. Made me excited for this contest. And we've got a reasonable crowd for a Saturday afternoon in Adelaide. And the Crows have won the toss. They'll kick to the southern end of the ground, the Riverbank stand end of the ground, as the ball goes down in the middle, and Darcy immediately with a tap to Sarong for Fremantle, and it's held up. And Dawson will be the man for Adelaide, who ultimately surrenders the ball to the umpire just to the eastern side of the centre square.
So Dawson straight in the guts, as Matthew Nix alluded to in our pre-game. O'Brien wins it down, but Aish soccers off the deck for the Dockers, the former Norwood Premiership player. Up to centre half forward. Michael Lanny cuts it off for the Crows though. Hands it off to Smith. Nice little turn there from Hinge. He gets around 2 tackles and has some space to lower the eyes, but his kick is horrendous. straight down the throat of Andrew Brayshaw in the centre square. The Dockers look to rebound. Dangerous kick across, works for Hughes, who marks it centre half forward, plays on, heads to the top of the goal square. Banfield's open, as is Jackson, and went straight through his hands, Luke Jackson. And now Murray's wrapped up in a tackle that will hold things up at the top of the goal square.
He's not going to get an easier opportunity than that, is he? No one went with him. Straight through the hands, as you mentioned. Yeah, that's disappointing.
So the bounce just to outside the goal square. It comes off Darcy, goes to Scholl, clears the area for Adelaide, back towards the right half back. It's picked up off the pack by Saligo. Down the line he goes, and right at the interchange gates, it's Riley Thilthorpe being escorted over the line by Cox of Fremantle, and we'll get a throw in basically on centre wing.
Starting benches for both sides for the Crows: Keys, Gallant, Sloan, Miller. For the Dockers: Wilson, O'Meara, Amos and O'Driscoll.
Mitch Henge just all class in that back line, did all the hard work. Poor kick into the middle of the ground.
Darcy won it down straight to Dawson for the Crows, got it out. Forward handball from Murphy, found Laird. Retreats back to Jones, uses Murphy again, close to the boundary line, pressure from Clark, they get around it. Inside to Jones once again, the former pick 9 seems to be finding his feet. Nice kick to the logo, hits Rochelle, who opened the angle and ran straight into a dangerous tackle from Schultz, who got around him in the end. Kicks it to Michael Lanny, who heads inside 50 for the Crows. He's trying to get it to Rankin, but the kick was wide and straight to the hole where Walker was waiting. One of the two inclusions for the Dockers this afternoon.
Flares it to Henry in the right back pocket. He's now called to play on. Keeps it on that eastern side of the ground. Michael Lanny at the front takes the intercept mark for Adelaide at left half forward. On the point of the square. He's back quickly, looking. Now he decides on the long kick. Thilthorpe perhaps a target. Walker though, got away from Pearce. And took a strong mark in the left forward pocket. And Walker, who didn't kick well last week, has a chance to open the scoring this afternoon.
We saw Josh Rochelle kicking some from here, and he just kicked him like shell and pea, so I would imagine Tex wouldn't have too much trouble kicking around the body.
So Walker settles himself. He is going to swing it across the body, steps out a couple of steps, and no problem for Adelaide's leading forward. First goal, first points on the board. Adelaide 1 goal straight, 6. And Fremantle yet to score after 3 minutes at the Adelaide Oval. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Stephen Williams and Rod Jamieson.
Well, Alex Pearce just lost his way then too, didn't he? He just went back, tried to feel the body of Taylor Walker, and Taylor just stepped aside. Alex Pearce pretty much lost his balance, and in the end, a really easy overhead mark. That's Michael Lanny.
How good's he going, Gemma? He looks great, doesn't he?
He's only in his 4th game, Stephen, and the showdown last week had 12 disposals. The only player that went at 100% disposal efficiency, but already had 3 or 4 touches in the back line too, and just looks super smooth and really composed.
Pick 17 in last year's draft, the 19-year-old, leading the disposal count early. Crows up by 6. Darcy wins it down straight to Sarong, the Glendinning Allen medalist. Hands it off to Brayshaw, then gets it back. Out wide to Henry, eastern side. Low piercing kick to Walters, who fumbled the chest mark, then is brought down without it. Laird slung him to ground. Free kick, Fremantle. Walters, who had 4 last week in the Derby, heads inside 50 and hits the chest of Banfield.
Great kick.
Marks 35 out, slight angle to the right.
Most important kick in footy, isn't it? The inside forward 50. And Michael Walters does kick the ball beautifully on his left foot. Banfield gave him a good lead, and there was nothing the Adelaide defence could do. Just quick movement and good skills.
Surprise omission in the Derby last week. Had 16 touches and a goal in round 2. Looking to get on the scoreboard early. Banfield heads in, kicks from 40, close to the man on the mark. But he's just snuck it through. Fremantle answer back immediately. The goal apiece at the 4-minute mark at the Adelaide Oval on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Well, Michael Walters is just such an experienced player too. Probably a little lucky to win the free, but to go back normally closer to goal, but just off one step, absolutely nailed it. And Tom Doedee could not do a thing.
So, just a little quiet over the ground after an enterprising start from Adelaide, and now Fremantle. We've seen this quite a number of times across the weekend, where ball goes back to the middle, you get a centre break, straight away a goal. And that was the case there. Ball back in the middle, Fremantle with the break. It's no time for the defence to set up.
Oh, Crossy, well, both coaches spoke about it, didn't it, too, and just how important it is. The clearance work. Both teams don't do it all that well. They haven't been clean, but yet you just called as to how valuable it is when you do get it right.
Off the tap from O'Brien, Laird took it immediately. It was Aish who descended on him. And Aish, who's gone through Brisbane and Collingwood to find his way to a consistent game at Fremantle. Out of the pack it comes from the ball up, and Brayshaw out of the middle. He almost found Jackson. Ball to ground. Adelaide with the pressure from Butts, and they've got some numbers there. Schultz picks it up for Fremantle. Taken to ground in the tackle. All the umpire says, I'll have it just outside the goal square. Fremantle attacking the old scoreboard end of the Adelaide Oval. Scores a level at 6 apiece.
So Aish certainly paying close attention to Laird. Darcy wins it down. He was looking for O'Meara, overran it with Hinge on his tail. Butts goes to ground, gathering the footy. Awkward tackle behind the back almost from Switkowski, who fell into poor Butts there. We'll get a ball up. Darcy wins it down over the head of Brayshaw. Spills out to Hughes though. Handball back inside to Aish. 35 out from the Dockers goal here, but under pressure. Retreats to Wilson, who kicks off a step. High to the top of the goal square. Smith could have taken it. Instead went the double fist. It works anyway. Michael Aney front square gave it to Saligo. Clearing kick to right half back for the Crows. Bit of a fumble and now a tackle late as Rankin brings Clark to ground and forces the ball up.
Uday could have taken the mark, chose to double fist it. Nice at Rankin, turned away before he even had it.
Riley O'Brien with a tap down, and Clark was nabbed in a tackle. Play on advantage the Crows. It comes into space for Rankin. 2 bounces on centre wing. Inside 50, low and hard. Found Walker on the bounce. Flicked a hand pass to Rochelle. Had a fumble and then snapped away without looking much at all. It's a minus score from 40 out for Rochelle. Adelaide by a point. 1-1-7 plays 1 goal straight. We've crossed over 7.5 minutes in the opening quarter.
Just puts you under the extra little bit of pressure when you can't take the ball first time. Just a small fumble and then cost him a goal.
Dangerous kick from Ryan. He went to left half back. The Crows were waiting. Spalled away to Rankin. Handball went straight up and down, and now becomes the tackler on Cox. Didn't have any prior. Ball fell in his lap, and then he was swung 360 over the boundary line. We toss back into play. 20 out. Right forward pocket. Southern end. The right of your radio dial. Toss back into play, Crows by a point. Walker tries to use the buddy on Darcy, but is immediately beaten. No chance there. Brayshaw tackle, dropped it, no free kick. Aish goes in, rips it out, gave it to Brayshaw. Kick ricochet to Walker, who snaps up a step from 30. Tex has 2. The Crows fans love it. 8 minutes into the opening term, it's Adelaide by 7. On Grandstand AFL, your experts, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
I was just watching, I think it was Brandon Walker and also Nathan Wilson just putting time into Rochelle and Rankin around the contest too. Aish, who's getting a lot of the football so far early in this first quarter, doing a lot of work, and just the pressure. There was a couple of smothers in there. Adelaide forwards keeping it in, and just Taylor Walker, Steve, with a bit of luck out the back.
Yeah, that's what you want as a big forward, and Taylor's so good on either side of his body. It was a really nice snap, but Lockie Murphy, a couple of smothers in a row just to keep the ball in the area and give the Crows the opportunity to score that goal.
Walker had 3 goals, 6 coming into this game on the season. Now he's got 2 straight, and he didn't look at the goals either. He just knew where they were. Ball out of the middle to Sarong, and then Darcy for Fremantle comes away. The big ruckman on his left foot sends it long, and a great grab taken. Amos surely be paid that. He stopped it, and umpire rewards him in the end. So Amos with a mark about 45-degree angle, 45 metres out.
Terrific mark, wasn't it? Again, a lot of pressure, but just got those 2 hands to the ball. The ball stuck, and now the opportunity for him to reply to that Walker goal.
So he's a left footer, kicking from the left side of the posts, and he's a very, very steady kick as he just takes his time, just wander. Now he breaks into a bit of a trot and makes the distance, and his accuracy's pretty good as well. No, he doesn't make the distance. It just faded at the last moment. O'Brien came across unopposed, really, and just knocked it through for the minus score for Fremantle. So they trail by 6 points. We've crossed over 10 minutes in the opening quarter here at the Adelaide Oval.
Just a real easy walk in.
He didn't have much momentum, Jamo, did he? He needed a little bit of extra just to get that distance.
Speaking of momentum, Brodie Smith runs 30, then roosts it all the way to the western wing where Darcy's waiting. Intercept mark for Fremantle and straight back where it came from. Taberner's caught behind. He shoved Smith in the back with both hands, and the umpire saw free kick Adelaide. Smith in the right back pocket, former All-Australian defender. Heads up to right half back. Caught behind his Gallant, had to spoil. Goes to ground. Quick tackle laid immediately in front of the benches. Amira wraps up Saligo. Ball up to come. Our 4 officials this afternoon: Nick Foot, Lee Howson, Alex Wetton and Craig Fleer. Tossed up. O'Brien wins it down from behind. Had an arm over the shoulder though in the process. So free kick to Darcy. 52 hit-outs last week. Plenty of the footy early. Heads to the left forward pocket. He's got a lead on from Amos. Taberner was held out of it as well, so it bounced in the hole between them. Spilled out. Smith was brought to ground. And now Dawson will have scored Amos over the boundary line. Left forward pocket, northern end. Adelaide by 6. 11 minutes into the opening term.
6 inside 50s to Fremantle, and Sean Darcy has 3 of them.
Ball to be tossed in 25 around from the goal face. A little bit short for where the ruckman were expecting. Thilthorpe came and met it. Ball onto the chest in the end of Chase Jones, and Jones sends it down the line for Adelaide. Offhand straight to Walker. He's taken down in a solid tackle. And we'll get a ball up. Lockie Gallant doing the tackling for Adelaide. It's right adjacent to the boundary line, a metre or so away. The umpire's going to throw it in the air. Still at left half forward for Fremantle. Comes off hands to Brayshaw, and Henry got it, or rather Walker got it again, and he was nabbed but got a hand pass away. Clark scrubbed his kick to centre half forward, was pushed in the back, said the umpire. That affected the kick, so the ball's going to come all the way back into the centre square, but still ahead of centre for Fremantle. So Clark sends it in long. Another huge pack. Adelaide to the front. Thilthorpe was involved with Dawson, and then came to hinge and away to the long kicking Smith down the line, and outmarked there. Cox taking the mark away from Gallant.
Just Fremantle got to find a different way at the moment, and here we go here as Cox goes across the ground to open it up with a dangerous kick.
Very dangerous switch. He was looking for Young, but Rochelle back with the flight sticks and arm out. Couldn't control it. Wilson can gather. Into the scoreboard pocket he goes. Flying was Banfield. Was he nudged out of the contest? Yes.
I didn't mind the build-up of Fremantle. I was just going to say, they've just bombed it away, haven't they? Although, be it they've had 8 inside 50s, they've pretty much gone to the top of the square every time. So what they're able to do is just open it up and come in a different way.
That's right. The only goal they got, Gemma, was that pass from Walters when they did actually look to lower their eyes and hit a leading target.
Hasn't always worked for them. Round 1, they had 17 scoring shots from 65 inside 50s when they bombed it in. Last week was more lowering the eyes. Bailey Banfield looking for his second. Tight angle, 40 out on the left. Nice run in, plenty of power, but no accuracy. Minor score on the right-hand side, 1-2-8. The Dockers, Adelaide 2-1-13. Approaching the 14-minute mark. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams with you on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the Listen app.
So ball short from the kick into Scholl for Adelaide. It's finally called a play on. Out on the eastern side he goes long. Rochelle goes up, couldn't take it in the air, got it on the ground. Hand pass over the top, found Rankin. Rochelle was taken high. And so the ball, or the free kick, will go back to him. Inboard he goes straight away. Point of the square to Smith. He belts it across the field. Too far for Hinge. He's got room though. He'll be able to pick it up and straighten onto his left leg. Takes his time, does that. Down the line he goes. Hughes was in position. Coming late, McHenry. McHenry couldn't get possession. He had support there from Chase Jones, and Jones took it, was taken immediately in a tackle by Hughes. Ball up again, a metre in from the boundary, this time at right half forward for the Crows, heading to that Riverbank stand, end of the ground, on the back of a 5-point lead.
Sikorsky has his 50th game today, as too Ned McHenry coming in for his first game this year.
Good story for both products, which we'll touch on across the afternoon. Clearing kick by O'Meara was a bit rushed out of the contest. It took a bounce over the line. Crows fans thought maybe deliberate, but there'll be another boundary throw-in. So Switkowski picked 73 in 2017. There's only one player who's still playing who was drafted after him, and that's Matt Guelphy. So he was a very late product in that draft, Sam Switkowski. Tossed back into play. Riley Thilthorpe took it out of the contest. Clearing kick was off a step straight to Walker, though. Defensive edge of the square. He looks to the centre circle for the Dockers. Hits Sarong. Couple of touches early. Two-time Derby medalist now as well after last week's performance. Heads to centre wing on the eastern side, the broadcast wing. Finds Ryan. Plenty of footy early this season for Luke Ryan. 29 disposals per game. Gives it off to Henry. He heads into the left forward pocket. Taberner's in front position, had an arm held by Butts. The umpire will give it to Jordan Butts in the entanglement. Free kick, Adelaide in the right back pocket. Could have gone either way there, Crossy, I reckon.
Well, Butts has got it, and he perhaps would like the kick back. It's got under it a bit and off the side of the boot and near the boundary line. Eventually it's Henry standing under it. Over the top came Adelaide's Murphy and knocked it over the line. So nothing free-flowing about the game just at the moment. 1-2-8 for Fremantle. Adelaide 2-1-13. We've gone through 16 minutes. Ball comes back into play and just flipped away by Thilthorpe, but the advantage went to O'Meara, who gave it to Sarong. He tumbled a kick and it was intercepted by Miller for Adelaide. He flares wide to the eastern side, straight across the centre square, and it wasn't a great kick. It didn't help his side at all. Fortunately, O'Driscoll ran out of room under pressure from Scholl, and we're going to throw in opposite side of the ground. Out on the eastern side, spectators get a first-hand look out there.
Well, best outcome for Adelaide, just poor kick, had possession and made it his teammate work. A lot of the football in this first quarter being played in Fremantle's half.
Crows by 5. O'Brien wins it down to Scholl. Little 1-2 with Laird, and now up the eastern side he goes. McHenry floats across from the side but can't claim it. Soccering with the half volley is Gallant. It'll tumble towards the 50, which is open. Fremantle have numbers darting back, but run down is pierced by Thilthorpe. Spilled out to Keys. Centres his kick for Rankin. Unselfish. Could have gone for home. But he hits up a man many thought would have been the showdown medalist last week. Fresh off 4, Isaac Rankin straight in front, 30 out.
It was just watching Alex Pearce get run down. He get hold of the football and his right leg sort of arched back the other way in that tackle, which was how Thilthorpe was able to tackle him pretty quickly. And the turnover with many options to go to, and Isaac Rankin, 4 goals last week.
10 coaches' votes as well, Jamo.
Yeah, just lighting up the forward line for Adelaide, allowing another dimension.
Hops in, crosses the paint of 50. Easy as you like for Isaac Rankin. His first of the afternoon. Adelaide up by 11 as we approach time on. 3-1-19, Fremantle 1-2-8 on Grandstand AFL.
A couple of times though, Alex Pearce has looked a little bit just disorientated almost, Jamo. He should have known he was going to be tackled then and probably just tapped the ball rather than take possession, get tackled and then lose control. The loose ball gets picked up by Keys and he hits Rankin. So, the captain needs to be a bit better than that.
Just in the replay there, Riley Thilthorpe actually stood on his foot. That's how he was able to catch pretty quickly. But he can do that.
It helps.
Good poise by Keys too, not just to get it and blast away. He actually showed a little bit of poise and found Rankin for an easy goal.
Easter weekend here, as it is around the country, but geez, Saturday afternoon football, big crowd here at Adelaide Oval.
Ball down in the middle, and it's O'Brien with the tap away. Sarong got the bounce, gave it to Darcy, and then Darcy's hand pass was not great. Picked up by Scholl for Adelaide. Back to the left boot of Dawson. He went looking for Gallant out wide ahead of Pearce. Took the mark 5 metres from the boundary. Arcs around on the right foot straight away. Goes long to the goal face. Thilthorpe up. Oh, he almost took it. Rankin was at the foot. Couldn't take it there. Ball's tapped out. It's come to Sloan. Off to McHenry by hand. Then back to Miller. Good dodge. Outside of the right foot. Goal! Brilliant skills from Miller. It might have been easier to kick left foot, but he thought, why not? And he virtually kicked that straight across his body off the right boot, on the outside of the boot.
He knew what he was doing,
not
didn't
easy
he? No, not easy. But it was just a blown opportunity by Fremantle. They had the clearance and just missed the target with the handball, and Adelaide were able to win the ball back. And from that point on, it was just a pretty simple goal. So, Fremantle will be very disappointed. When you win possession, that first possession out of the middle, you have it running towards your goals, and then you make a unforced error and turn it over. You normally pay a hefty price.
Sports Show, we spoke about the defence of Fremantle when they get hold of how run and how they want to defend and get the football forward, but at the moment they're seriously getting exposed. Adelaide inside 50 on 6 occasions for 4-goal-1 and look under a lot of pressure when it's in that forward 50 of Adelaide's.
17-point lead and a 6-6-6 warning as well. We'll get a ball up in the middle now between Darcy and O'Brien. The Adelaide ruck wins it down. It trickles through the toes of Laird, who was entangled with Brayshaw. The free kick will go his way. The two-time Malcolm Blight medalist hands it off to the running Brodie Smith. Long to the top of the goal square. The fly nearly taken in the air by Gallant. Lost it as he hit the ground. Thilthorpe becomes the tackler on Young. He gets it away. Clearing kick from O'Driscoll. Rolls towards Hughes. Retreats back with a handball to Wilson. And now Fremantle finally get out of defensive 50 to the eastern wing as far as McElhenney. He's been excellent in the opening quarter, but this kick is poor. Mosdim sitting underneath it. Handball clear, comes out. Schultz to Amos. Now Switkowski nearly run down. Got it out to Schultz last minute. Clark at left half forward, running out of room. He's got a bit of pressure. Doesn't know what to do. Wheels 360 against Scholl and then finally kicks inside 50, but it's worked. There was certainly no aim in it. Just wanted to get it in, and he's hit the chest of Tabner, darting across. 15 out, tight angle on the left.
Well, I don't know if the Fremantle forwards and or defenders of Adelaide knew exactly where that was going to go. The Max McElhenney kick into the middle, the right option, but just poor execution, nothing ahead of the football.
Goalless in the last two. Tabner kicks around the body and just gets it through, or it might have gone around the goalpost. We're getting a score review here. He's celebrating like he thinks it's gone in.
It looked like it was.
We are going to get a score review. It was very low. It's got the curl on it, but which side of the post did it go around?
Is he saying it hit the post? Is that what the umpire's suggesting here? It looked like it went through.
That looks like it's certainly gone through, but I think it will be the post that is the question now.
How do you see on those three options that
we'll go with the edge, like they did yesterday, Jamo, I imagine? The old Snicko? See if there's anything.
Sure, the umpire's in perfect position. Yeah. Surely he can make a decision.
What about the answer? What your thoughts, Stephen?
Well, who would know, Jamo?
Doesn't look like the ball deviates in any way.
No, but yeah.
Just waiting for the line here.
Wait for Schnicko. Nothing there.
Spike on edge as the ball passes the post. Decision on the scoreboard.
So Matt Taberner will break his goal drought. The snap around the body from 20
is a goal.
And Fremantle will be down by 11 points. The crowd goes mild. I think it's heavily Adelaide Crows this afternoon, but Fremantle advanced to 2-14. Adelaide 4-1-25. Time on in the first. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
Yeah, well, again, inside 57 for Fremantle for 2-goal return. They've just bombed away, but on that occasion too, I don't think there was no real method around how to do it, but in the end, it's the result they're probably after.
But both teams have been reasonably efficient going inside 57 for 4 shots for Freo and Adelaide. Would you say, Jamo? 6 for 5 or something. So they're looking dangerous, the forward line.
Jordan Clark, he just did a pirouette and did a bounce at the same time. It was pretty impressive.
In the middle, Darcy with a tap down. Rochelle had it. Sarong got it away from him. Back to Rochelle. Little dribbler kick just went straight across the circles, and then immediately it's Chase Jones with a tackle on O'Driscoll. Forces a ball up. So in the air again. O'Brien with a better of it. It came down to Laird. Thought he was taken high. It wasn't the initial tackler, but one coming in. So Aish won't count that as his mistake. Having a word to the umpire as Laird runs off, hits it high, inside forward 50. Thilthorpe, the target, brought it to the front. Keys with a slick hand pass quickly, but Sarong intercepted it and Walker got him high. Be a free kick to the Fremantle player.
It's 8th disposal in this first quarter. Busy player.
Fresh off 35 last week, Caleb Sarong wins across defensive 50.
Hit outs 9-10 in favour of Fremantle, so not as dominant as they were last year, albeit early.
Found
last
Wilson,
week, sorry.
Who exits to right half back to Cox. Text line if you want to get in touch across the afternoon, 0437 774 774. Still to come, Richmond and the Western Bulldogs at the MCG with Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke. Fremantle just dinking it around across the defensive half here. Luke Ryan called to play on. He'll go long. Up the eastern side, outnumbered, and Thilthorpe comes across to take the intercept mark. Jackson had 3 to beat there. Thilthorpe, true centre wing.
Just so strong in the air, Riley Thilthorpe last week and already early today.
Heads long back towards the 50. Charging out at Walker, also Gallant, both flew. Went through the hands of Gallant in the end. Pearce at the fall of the footy, hands it to Hughes. Little 1-2 with Brayshaw, but fumbles on the return. And it trickles over the boundary line, left half forward for the Crows.
Ball stays the front half for the Crows. Late in the opening quarter, we've gone through 25 minutes now. Both sides have had their moments. Adelaide with an 11-point lead as the ball comes back into play. Off the ruckman's hands and bobbling around on the ground. O'Brien just picks it up. Gave it off to Dawson. Inside forward, 50 again for the Crows. Cox came across the front of the pack, could have marked, wanted to swat it towards the boundary line, and then he's come down holding his knee. That is not a good sign if you're a Fremantle fan. He's slowly back to his feet and now limping away as the boundary umpire prepares to hurl the ball back in.
Very proppy. But staying out there, toss back in. Walker wins it down, put it in the path of Keys, fumbled under the pressure from Wilson. Just kept it in, no. Dropped it on his boot as he was pushed over the line, so we'll get another boundary throw in. Mark in Adelaide's messaged in and says, hi team, enjoying the call. What's the estimate of the crowd? We were told about 25 to 30 with the Easter weekend, and I reckon we're around that. Maybe the low 30s if we're lucky.
The Eastern Grandstand not overly full, but the open air end at the northern end is.
Darcy won it down to Clark. Little fumble, then got it again. Handed it off to Brayshaw. Clears defensive 50 to Hughes. Kicks down the line. Hits up Jackson on the lead. Marks behind centre wing. Fresh off a 2-goal performance. A bit of time in the midfield as well. Starting to find his feet. Premiership demon. Now Docker heads up to right half forward. O'Brien came across to spoil. Smith lost it in the air, but Hinge charges through. Caught up in the tackle. Amos got him. Gets it out late. Duday out to Miller. Then Keys and off to Sloan. Underground handball wasn't clean. Trying to find its way to Murphy. So we'll get a boundary throw in. True centre wing on the eastern side. Caleb Sarong with 8 touches early. Brodie Smith with 6 for the Crows.
Cox behind play, still limping a little bit. And he's got Philthorpe for company. And Philthorpe has size on him and probably agility at this stage as the ball comes back into play. Murphy forces it forward for Adelaide. On the ground comes to Keys. Hand pass over the top. Sloan finds it and gets support from Laird. Back inside with his right foot kick. Should have sent it high. That was that contest we talked about with Cox. But now it's come to Rochelle. Hand pass away from McHenry. Set him up for another one for the Crows. Boy, and Rochelle likes a celebration as well. Adelaide with a 5th for the quarter. 5-1-31 for Adelaide. Fremantle 2-2-14. 27 minutes gone.
Well, it's a bit sloppy from both sides, really. The efficiency is at 75-77%, congested and competitive around the contest as it went forward. But Nedbeck Henry too, just really clean at the fall of the footy, getting the handball out to Josh Rochelle into an open goal, catching the defenders out. But gee, ominous signs early. Like Fremantle got that last goal through, who was it? Taberner, but outside of that, they haven't really looked like scoring when they've gone forward.
Well, it's not Charlie Cameron and Country Roads at the Gabba, but they were playing the Rocky theme after that goal from Rochelle.
He doesn't mind a celebration. I know he said that, but he's got a few in his bag.
Bounce in the middle. Adelaide up by 17. One down by Darcy. Straight to Jones. Shrugged one tackle, but got caught up in the second. Another ball up to come. And Switkowski jumps off his back in game 50. Continuing that story, Jamo. Missed out on the draft 4 years in a row and was finally picked up out of Box Hill.
You've had a busy week, haven't you?
Darcy wins it down to Age. Kicks around the body. A tumbler up to the 50 for the Dockers. Hinge did well. Tapped it straight to Miller up. Clearing kick to the western side. Sat up a bit long for Saligo. Spoiled away by Clark. Straight back to Hinge, who loses it in the tackle to Switkowski, but it lingered. They were away, Fremantle. Free kick, Adelaide. Hinge right half back has the footy.
Jordan Clark just hanging on too long.
Oh, Hinge, awful turnover. Almost. He got away with it in the end. McElhaney was free. He came from behind Walters and stole it away from him. It wasn't a great kick off the boot. Anyway, it's come to Dawson and he's able to clear it much more effectively.
That's his second one.
It's off to Jones near the boundary line, eastern side. Down the line, he looks for Walker, misses him, kicks it out on the full. Walker looks back, thinks, well, you could have probably done better for me. So, he'll be taken over by Ryan for Fremantle. Steps inside and he's called to play on.
Another long high kick up to right half forward in hope. Flying butts nearly intercepted. Walters did enough to bring it to ground. Head over the footy. Schultz has Murray on his back. You're not getting him off. Jones picks it up. He's caught in the Jackson tackle. Ball up to come right half forward for Fremantle. On the text line, hi team, Rory in Melbourne, blind listener, love your commentary. I think there should be a 30-second time limit on score reviews. The Matt Taberner review took too long.
They do take long.
And Brian wins it down. A couple of fumbles. Jamal stays in play. Everyone stopped except for O'Brien. Gathers all alone, then kicks errantly down the line to Hayden Young. Turnover Fremantle. But Adelaide were away there because Fremantle got caught sleeping.
Well, everyone stopped, didn't they?
First touch for Hayden Young. He's one of their good distributors out of the back half.
Well, O'Brien showing basketball skills there that he says he doesn't have. His kicking skills are also to blame as Walters takes the ball inside 50. Banfield's out the back. It came off his chest. He recovered quickly. And he kicked the easiest of goals running in. So 2 for Banfield. And Fremantle, I think, against the trend of the game, has got back into it close to quarter time. 31 minutes down. Adelaide 5-1-31. Fremantle 3-2-20.
Yeah, just good word by Michael Walters. Was able to just read the ball off the back of the pack and just put the afterburners on. Got a little bit of distance between him and his opponent. And Banfield has looked pretty dangerous up there. He's had 3 shots at goal, Jamo, and kicked a couple. So an unlikely goal kicker for the Dockers early in the game.
And I think just the way that they brought it in, Walters running into the sort of the right pocket there on the boundary, still used his left foot, but Mitch Hinge has had a bit of a mare in this first quarter. He's had 2 turnover kicks in the back half and then was the third man up and completely missed it. 21
touches for 90% efficiency last week. Completely different story this afternoon. Bounces awkward in the middle, favoured O'Brien. He won it down to Dawson. Immediately wrapped up by Brayshaw. Play just continued for a good 10 seconds there. Everyone stopped. It came out. Saligo gives it to Laird. Now Dawson up to left half forward. Put it in the path of Rochelle. Gathers on the bounce, but Clark runs him down. Little spin and holding the ball. Just a little nonchalant. He didn't realise that Clark was there. And the former Cat pins him.
Smart tackle too. He could have easily just dumped him on the ground. He had him in that position, but the players are getting better at that now.
Clark forced to go down the line with a kick. O'Brien's at the front of the pack, brings it down. Slick hand pass from Laird straight to Dawson, chips it short to Rochelle. Ahead of centre wing for Adelaide on the eastern side, called to play on. Arcs now to his right foot was shocking. Maybe it's the ball. Inside forward 50 it goes and out of bounds. 25 around from the goal face. And we'll get a throw in. Yes, that's what, third, fourth time we've seen a really ordinary kick off the boot.
Really sloppy.
So throw in, 25-30 around from the goal face. Adelaide with an 11-point lead closing in on quarter time.
Walker in the ruck against Jackson. It bounced off Walker's head. Jackson gathers, hands it off to Aish. Tackled as he kicked it, carried about 10 metres. Michael Annie threw a fist, didn't really connect. O'Brien can gather, kicks off a step. Big mark, Gallant. Flew in the air. Young accidentally tunnelled him running in. He fell backwards, heavy landing, but held onto the footy. And Lockie Gallant will have a shot on goal straight in front, 30 out.
That was a really nice, strong mark. He had a lot of opposition. His opponent was right on his back, but he was able to really strong hands and brought it down to the ground. It only popped out when he hit the ground.
Darcy Fogarty out his second week. Came in last week, Lockie Gallant. I love his work rate. He's gangly, he's tall, covers the ground and gets up really high to take a really strong mark just before quarter time.
In his 10th game, goalless last week. This will be a blow for the Dockers. Gallant comes in from 35, spears it through the middle. Adelaide rolling at the Adelaide Oval. 17-point lead at quarter time. Gallant has his first as the Crows advance to 6-1-37 to Fremantle's 3-2-20. The goal scorers at the first break. Walker with 2, singles to Gallant, Miller, Rankin and Rochelle. For the Dockers, 2 to Banfield and 1 to Matt Taberner. The text line 0437 774 774 if you'd like to get in touch. Big day of footy coming your way this Easter Saturday on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC Listen. Rampaging Royce Laven and HG Nelson.
I note that some people don't use logbooks anymore.
What?
Yeah.
They don't know cos, sine,
cosine, cosine, cotan. They're all great.
Lodging on the blind side.
Why don't they do it?
I don't know.
Royal Commission. What happened to the logbook? I loved it. I used to open the love it. Could we get Volandis to drag the logbook
kicking and screaming back into our universities?
Podcast available now on the ABC Listen app. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Walker tries to use the buddy on Darcy, but is immediately beaten. No chance there. Brayshaw tackle, dropped it, no free kick. Aish goes in, rips it out, gave it to Brayshaw. Kick ricochet to Walker, who snaps up a step from 30. Tex has 2.
Phil Thorpe up. Oh, he almost took it. Rankin was at the foot. Couldn't take it there. Ball's tapped out. It's come to Sloane. Off to McHenry by hand. Then back to Millerer. Good dodge. Outside of the right foot. Goal! Keys, hand pass over the top. Sloane finds it and gets support from Laird. Back inside with his right foot kick. Should have sent it high. That was that contest we talked about with Cox. But now it's come to Rochelle. Hand pass away from McHenry. Set him up for another one for the Crows.
Walker in the ruck against Jackson. It bounced off Walker's head. Jackson gathers. Hands it off to Aish. Tackled as he kicked it. Carried about 10 metres. Michael Annie threw a fist. Didn't really connect. O'Brien can gather. Kicks off a step. Big mark. Gallant. This will be a blow for the Dockers. Gallant comes in from 35. Spears it through the middle.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
The Showdown and Derby winners colliding this afternoon at the Adelaide Oval, but it's the Crows with the early advantage, a 17-point lead at quarter time. 6-1-37 place, 3-2-20. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the call. Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson and Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams to break it all down. On the text line, M from Melbourne says, hi team, happy Easter, enjoying the call as always. I am intently listening to this game to hear if Adelaide has a good chance of winning against Carlton. I'm sure we'll wrap that up at the end of the contest, but to be honest, I'm very excited for Thursday night, Jamo. Sellout crowd, and just never know with those kind of games. It could really go anyway.
Yeah, no, look, kick-off gather round 2. All AFL teams will be in Adelaide. A lot of promotion around it next week. Huge Thursday night game, Adelaide and Carlton. Sold out, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago as well, too. But so, yes, I think they're a huge chance. But back to today, 6-goal first quarter to Adelaide. 6-goal 1-2, more importantly. Just their efficiency much better. Probably a bit sloppy at times, going inside 50. 12 apiece for Adelaide and Fremantle. I thought the tackling of Fremantle was good. They weren't able to rebound. Watching last week's game against West Coast, they haven't been able to do that in this first quarter, which is where they set up a lot of their attack. The first part of this first quarter, it was played in their forward half, but they just kept bombing away. They tried to find different ways to goal, but in the end, Bailey Banfield, just quick movement in there, 2 goals, and then also Matt Taberner, 1, just, at the back of the pack, really taking a chest mark. But all Adelaide at the moment, really smart around the football. Jordan Dawson in the middle of the ground. Rory Laird getting a lot of the football too. And Max Michaelani, the one mistake, but just really calm and composed across half-back.
Yeah, it's been a good start, hasn't it? That Adelaide forward line that we talked about, and we mentioned it just in Longmuir as well, how dangerous they are. Walker's got a couple, Rochelle's got on the board, so too has Rankin. They look really dangerous up there, and the guys, maybe not the class players of the forward line, but McHenry's just working really hard just to get around and put a lot of pressure on. The same with Lockie Murphy, a couple of smothers that resulted in a goal to Walker. So they got the balance really nice. They got guys that can put a lot of pressure on, and they got guys with real class that only need half an opportunity and they can score a goal. So those dangers that we thought before the game certainly are haunting Fremantle early in that first quarter.
Doesn't feel like they're kicking backwards too much, though, the Dockers, which was, I guess, their biggest concern over the opening 2 rounds. So it is fairly free-flowing at the moment.
Yeah, well, again, there was probably a couple of times where they were just caught in their back half and they just sat on it and then ended going down the line. Need to switch, somehow find another way to defend, because when they do get moving and run and carry the football from defence, that's when they're going to be at their most dangerous. They had a slight breeze in that first quarter, and just looking at the flags on the old scoreboard, the wind looks like it's actually picked up a little bit and coming in a bit darker, and the lights have just come on at Adelaide Oval, so maybe there's some rain on the way.
The radar looked good at the start of the game, but you're right, Jamo, the clouds have certainly picked up, and that breeze is to the northern end, which Adelaide will be kicking to in this second term, already up by 17 points. Also on the text line, 0437 774 774. Seb from Perth says, why is Liam Henry playing instead of Will Brodie? I mean, different roles, but it's a fair question because Liam Henry hasn't had a great campaign really, and didn't have a great game last week either, with The 17 disposals so far across the season. Will Brodie had 37 in the waffle last night.
Probably just a replacement for Fredericks too, maybe, I'm thinking, in just the role that
Brodie
they
was so important last year, wasn't he? He was a real find for them.
In the middle, it's Adelaide by 17. O'Brien grabs the footy. Darcy brings him down with a heavy tackle. Holds things up just outside the centre circle. And I think Switkowski as well, moving into the middle, has taken a bit of those centre bounce appearances out of what Will Brodie would normally get. Off the ruck contest, Brayshaw spun in the tackle, got boot to ball, but carried as far as Dawson for the Crows. Michael Annie gives it off to Miller, and now Smith out wide to Scholl. Retreating here as they try to get clear from the height of footy Fremantle's playing, and finally it's actually dropped in a tackle from Smith. I reckon that could have been holding the ball there, but the umpire was caught behind. Switkowski wrenches it out, hands it off to Schultz, pushed as he kicked it inside 50, and Butts comes across with the spoil, just stays in. Banfield manages to keep it alive on the boundary line. Jackson's wrapped up. Michael Annie brings him down. It's frantic footy at the moment, and Fremantle's pressure has certainly lifted.
Yeah, great pressure. Fremantle, probably 8 or 10 handballs in a row where Adelaide just went sideways and backwards as the pressure and defence of Fremantle was good.
So the ball up close to the boundary. Fremantle keep it in. Walters tried out a hack at the ball. Chase Jones picked it up for Adelaide, cleared the 50 just. Young with a strong mark.
Ooh,
or was it? No, I thought he took it. Stephen Williams agrees, obviously. So it's been knocked over the boundary line. Umpire calls for a throw in. Little bit of rain here. I've just had a quick look at the radar. Scattered showers at best coming up the coast. Only very light, so it might not be around for long. Clark off the pack. Dribbled it inside forward 50. Banfield picks it up on his left side. Went with a hand pass, partly smothered. Gets it back from Aish. Now a little dinky left foot kick. Taberner was coming out. Fumbled it. Scholl picked it up over the shoulder. Tried to get it outside defensive 50 for Adelaide. Aish grabbed it, and he's taken down in a tackle by Laird and forces a ball up 40 from goal.
Very light drizzle, but it's certainly impacting the play at the moment. Inside Fremantle's 50, Darcy wins it down. Bounced off O'Brien's toes. Coming across, Brayshaw can't gather. High tackle. Walters somehow managed to grab Michael Annie quite high. There's a bit of a height mismatch there, but Michael Annie receives the free kick. Defensive 50 for Adelaide. Ripping game for him so far. This will be disposal 7.
And he's on Walters too. He's only had the 2 disposals.
The 19-year-old heads up to the eastern side. He's looking for Scholl. Hughes back with a flight, stuck an arm out. Spoilt it away to Young. Fremantle now through Cox. Heads up to left half forward. Jackson with a fly. Good spoil from Murray. Forces it over the boundary line. And Jackson certainly getting around the ground early. Hasn't had a lot of touches, but we've seen him in the middle. We've seen him up forward.
Might seem maybe across centre half forward, like that traditional role, and then allow Taberner and maybe another small forward to go deep.
Ball comes in again. Offhand, taken by Dawson. Slipped a hand pass to Smith. Smith powers his right foot kick inside 50 away from Walker, and it skipped across the turf away from Pearce. Now he has it. Pressured, gave up a handball. McHenry intercepted. Across goals on the hand pass to Saligo, who's taken down, and that might be holding the ball, and it is. Ryan got him. He tried to fend him off, and in the end the Fremantle player receives the free kick.
I'm an Alex Pearce fan, actually, but that was crazy.
Yeah, wasn't it?
He's trying to outthink Taylor Walker and outthought himself.
Handballed straight to the opposition.
Exactly what Marcus in South Melbourne reckons. My Dockers are thinking too much and not playing on instinct. Danger signs everywhere.
Good point.
Fremantle with possession as Ryan goes short to Cox and then back to Ryan. Now to the top of the goal square.
Adelaide are holding him up well, or be in transition, and if they could move it on quickly, they're away as Adelaide now set up and move across.
Cox to Young and then back to Cox. For all that goodwill I gave them about their fast footy, they've reverted back to slow format here. And the clearing kick wasn't a great one to O'Driscoll. He did well. Gathered on the bounce with one arm, pulled it in, and then rushed the kick down the line. Murray comes across with a good fist. Smashes it away from Bailey Banfield for a boundary throw-in, and all of a sudden Fremantle looks stagnant in the wet.
They actually did play it quite well. They went to the other side, but there was nothing available. Came back to this side of the ground and actually got the ball out. Just a poor delivery that they weren't able to take it further up the ground.
Murray, every bit of volleyballer from that little spike across the line. Off the ruck contest, comes to Young. Inside he goes to Switkowski. Dives through a couple of tackles and gave it away to Jackson. Forward hand passed it to O'Driscoll. And then his kick was smothered. Jackson picked it up. His left foot wasn't great, but he managed to get it out into space for Schultz. His hand pass was astray as well. Hughes went in there, got it. Umpire said McHenry just got him on the drive by a little high. So it'll be a free kick to Ethan Hughes, just inside the boundaries where he's going to take it.
Ethan Hughes was on his knees, wasn't he, too? Ducked his head and it was just a real little clip. Lucky to get it. They were clean and they were shot on goal too. They just couldn't finish.
Down on the mark, 48 from goal. Hughes comes in, kicks it from 55, strikes it well, but it's going to come up short. Two Crows players, Butts and Thilthorpe, power the ball over the line for the minor score. Fremantle close the margin to 16 points. First score we've had in the second quarter, 5.5 minutes down.
Murray and Butts a formidable backline now, just the key posts for Adelaide.
Playing on, Smith goes long to the broadcast wing. Taylor Walker flies but can't pull it in, just lost it late. Maybe a bit slippery. Tackle laid by Rankin, who holds up O'Driscoll and will get a ball up. Saish has been running with Rory Laird across the afternoon. Laird at the moment has the 7 touches, but not too impactful at the moment.
7 to Aish as well.
Off the ruck contest. Young overran the footy. Laird, there he is, caught in the tackle from Aish, but got it out to Keys. Kick tumbled about 5 metres to Sarong. He couldn't control it. Keys just keeps going. Soccers it up towards Taylor Walker, who marks at centre half forward. Dinks it over the top. Had Keys, who kept running. 3 disposals in that play. He started it, and now he can finish it. 35 out, 45-degree angle to the left.
Yeah, his work rate is huge. He's one of the better distance runners at the football club, and they hold him high with his work ethic, particularly pre-season.
He's something a little bit different, isn't he, Jamo, when he plays across half forward? He's not your classy half forward, but just the work rate, getting up the ground, helping out, the ability to run again and just provide an option.
1 goal, 5 for the year, Ben Keys. Stuttering approach as well. Kick was rushed in the end, and it's through for a minor score on the left-hand side. He did not look confident. Bit of the yips there. 6-2-38 Adelaide. Fremantle 3-3-21. 7 minutes into the second term. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams with you on Grandstand AFL as Fremantle go long. The booming kick from Luke Ryan.
Jackson couldn't pull down the mark, and then Adelaide get a free kick as O'Meara just took his time disposing of the ball, and Dawson got him. So he's at left half forward, Dawson, just outside the centre square, looks and in at half forward. Oh, he's got a player loose. And again, it's Keys, and he's wide out near the boundary where the arc of 50 meets. But he's got a mark. Now, everything's a worry here, the distance and his accuracy.
He's looking short.
And I don't know about the umpire with his angles, but he didn't set the right angles. Keys shapes up inside with a kick, and Walker misses an easy take, 25 from goal. Putting his head down was Wilson trying to charge through. Still the ball is in the pocket, and it wasn't 15 off the boot. It might have been Rankin who was in the tackle, and it was marked by Sarong, but then he ran across the line. Ball wasn't 15, so it was play on. And now we're going to throw in beside the behind post, left forward pocket for Adelaide.
Crows by 17. Walker in the ruck, beaten by Darcy. Put it at the toes of Pearce. Caught in the Rankin tackle and drops it. Walker wrenches it out. That's Taylor. Caught in the tackle from Brayshaw, loses it. Clark in there amongst Darcy. Neither can control it. Brandon Walker now under pressure from Sloane. Loses it over the boundary line, northern end. Left forward pocket.
Really good pressure, isn't it, by the Adelaide forwards? Just as soon as Fremantle get the ball, they got 2 or 3 Crows players coming at them.
So Walker will remain in the ruck against Darcy. Darcy had 52 last week. There's another. Hands it off to Sarong. Rushed the kick. Just wanted to get it out of defensive 50. Threw it on the left boot. And out on the full. Straight back in. Duday. Pops it short.
Jordan
Hits
Dawson
Jones.
will get this here.
Looking for some options. 60 out. He heads to the left forward pocket. Rankin juggles and takes it against Brandon Walker. Had front position. Walker tried to spoil, but Rankin just too classy. 10 out, tight angle to the left.
Should be a piece of cake here for Isaac Rankin. Very mercurial in all parts of the ground. Luke Jackson put down a sitter in the square in the first quarter, and Taylor Walker just then.
Just that slippery ball, straight through the fingers.
Opens the angle, snaps from 10, and curls it through for his second. Rankin's in remarkable form. Certainly fitting in at the Adelaide Football Club. 7-2-44 the Crows. Fremantle 3-3-21 as we approach the 10-minute mark of the second term on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Just probably should have been a lot better defending there by Brandon Walker. He was right alongside of Rankin. Rankin's not a strong marking forward, and not to be able to bring that ball to ground was a pretty disappointing effort.
Adelaide against Port Adelaide last week. It was the Crows' highest score against Port Adelaide since round 20 of 2017. They're on good pace this afternoon as well. 7 goals, and we're just 10 minutes into the second quarter. So the Crows back in the middle. Darcy gets the tap down for Fremantle. Laird picks it up, gives it to Sloan. He's tackled. He tries to get the hand pass away. Umpire calls play on. Henry picks it up for Fremantle. Smith claims him for the Crows. Ball up, results. Front into the square for Fremantle.
They need to spark Fremantle. At the moment, they're dour and they're working really hard to get it forward.
Speaking of a spark, Caleb Sarong, fresh up in Glendinning. Alan Medal heads inside 50. Hit the chest of Schultz, but he's given away a free kick for a push. So it will be Adelaide's ball in defensive 50 to Brodie Smith. Wasted opportunity there. He heads wide to Duday. Left half back, broadcast wing. Crows kicking to the northern end. Up by 23 at the moment. Down the line he goes. Rankin with the sit went early. Couldn't stay in the air on the shoulders of Darcy. Spills down to O'Driscoll. Clearing handball. Back towards Young, who couldn't control it up against Gallant. And forces it over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. 7-2-44 plays 3-3-21. Sarong with 11 so far, leading the Dockers. Dawson the same for the Crows.
Just come to the bench. Saligo on. Rankin flying, but Ned McHenry doing a lot of work defensively.
Probably O'Brien had the better of that, knocked the ball down. Saligo couldn't pick it up, but fumbled it forward to Laird, who was claimed in a tackle by Aish, and over the line for another throw in it. Left half forward for the Crows. In a good start, 7-2-44, plays 3-3-21.
Walters to the bench, Wachowski on.
So Laird, or rather Saligo again was involved after O'Brien got it to him, then to Keys, and then back he went to Sloan, and Sloan down to half forward. Ball comes off the pack again. Keys working hard. Handballed off to Smith. He sends it 25 from goal. They all fly. They all miss it at the back. Clark picks it up. Umpire spotted a free kick. Walker was said to be to blame, and I think it'll go to Pearce, who picks himself up off the ground and says, yeah, I'll take it.
That umpire that's sitting wide of the play there picks that push up. The one down the other end, the actual umpire in charge paid the mark, but the guy on the side saw the push, and that's exactly what happened then.
So Pearce heads to right half back for the Dockers. Another whistle. This time it's going back to Adelaide. Nick Murray up against Matt Tabner.
Hanging on.
Murray calls for a lead. Heads to the left forward pocket. The man presenting was Gallant. Spoiled away by Cox to Taylor Walker. Hands it to the top of the goal square. Straight to Clark, who's wrapped up in the Murphy tackle. Ball up to come, top of the goal square.
Taylor Walker looks sharp today.
Already has 2. Tossed up. Walker loses it out against Jackson, who does his own crumbing as well. Got it to Sarong again. Turns and kicks without looking. Straight to Saligo. 2-on-1 against Schultz. The Crows had the outnumber, and Saligo takes it. 35 out. 45-degree angle to the left.
Yeah, just Brodie Smith using his body really well just to make it hard for Sarong to get into the contest and protecting his teammate Saligo as he was backing back.
Certainly taken the next step this year, Jake Saligo, the 20-year-old, averaging 16 touches a game, signed a 3-year extension in February. 1 goal, 2 for the year. Not really his specialty. Comes in from 45. That is a magnificent finish. Never in doubt. Jake Saligo gifts the Crows their 8th. 8-2-50. Fremantle 3-3-21. It's getting away from the Dockers at the Adelaide Oval. 14 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
It is. I think it's, we just spoke earlier about some sort of spark, or Fremantle need to find something, and they go forward, take a mark, and it gets turned around, and they just haven't been in it from about probably the 20-minute mark of this first quarter, and now deep into the second. They don't even look like going forward at the moment. Adelaide, they're trying to defend hard. I think they're probably doing that more than actually getting hold of the football and getting on their bike and putting pressure back onto Adelaide. I guess if you're not winning the football at the source, it makes it hard to do.
6 goal kickers producing 8 goals for the Crows thus far. So, ready to go again. 8 goals 2 plays, 3 goals 3. Umpire very steady on that ball. Then finally puts it down. Jackson with a tap down. Thilthorpe comes away, spilled it in a tackle. Umpire called play on. Switkowski knocked it out. It's come to Jackson. After Switkowski again. Inside 50 was good. Taberner spilt the mark. Umpire called play on. Michael Aney took it. And then they tried to get Miller, but he stepped around a couple, gave it to Butts. Point of the square at half-back was Thilthorpe. Delivers a nice ball over the top to Sloan. Takes it in stride down to half-forward. No, he was just under enough pressure. It was well done by Clark, or rather Brayshaw. And he forced the errant kick. It's out on the full and a turnover at half-forward by Adelaide.
Wayne Miller is starting to really get back to that form that we saw him a number of years back when he was taking the competition apart, just looking really confident.
Pearce headed to a pack on the western wing. Thilthorpe should have taken it but spilt it. Went down, clearing kick. Came from Sloan up towards the 50. Now under pressure, the Crows. McHenry's wrapped up by Clark. Spills out. Fighting for it. They just can't get away. The Dockers have the defensive numbers. In the scoreboard pocket, Young with a nice tackle on Murphy. And finally a ball up is called by Lee Howson. About 30 or 25 out actually, I should say. Straight in front. Tossed up. Walker against Jackson. Nudges him out, Taylor Walker, then it's brought down in a tackle, maybe an over the shoulder, umpire didn't see. Late whistle is going the way of Fremantle.
Taylor Walker, the offender.
Just took down Luke Ryan off the ball. So free kick to the Dockers backman. Again, finding plenty of footy. So be number 8 for him, averaging 29. Gives it off to Brandon Walker. Clearing kick to left half back to a pack. Taberner flew but couldn't control it. The footy, Aish, the 2-time Sandford Premiership player, gets it out to Taberner but sold him into trouble. Just got a handball clear late. Hughes forward to Henry. Over the top in the path of Switkowski. He's going to get sandwiched here. 3 on his tail and he loses it under the pressure. Saligo for the Crows. Gives it off to Dawson. Centering kick for McHenry. Finds one of their 2 inclusions at centre half-back.
Gee, really picked off a dangerous kick. Dawson's up for it again as he goes around the back of McHenry, receives off to Jones. Jones forward, hand pass, in stride, off to the Crows down the ground. That was Hinge who made the kick. It's off the hands. It's come to Rankin from 40 out. Audacious kick at goal. He tried to roll it from 40 out. And Thilthorpe couldn't get there in time. The ball was going through for the minus score in the end.
Eddie would have kicked it.
Eddie would have kicked it left foot.
It was close
left
too.
Foot tall.
Yep.
Again, I think that's just more of an example. Like there was 3 defenders there for Fremantle, all went up. Isaac Rankin stayed down. They just want to defend at the moment. They've had opportunities to take marks, but they've spoiled instead. So just be a bit smarter.
Again, a long ball hit and hope to the western wing for the Dockers, but this one has worked. Off hands. Brayshaw got it to Banfield. Pushed as he kicked it inside 50, but he's put it in the path of Taberner. Whistle going Fremantle's way. Taberner nearly claimed it, but it's going to go to Amos up against Nick Murray, who had his arms chopped in that contest. Amos straight in front, 25 out. A chance to stop the bleeding.
Really? Yes, it's an important one for the Dockers to get this because the Crows are really dominating the play. Whenever you see a loose ball, there's 2 or 3 Adelaide jumpers around the contest and 1 Freo, so they're working harder, getting extra numbers to the contest.
2 goals last week for Jai Amos. Pick 9. The future talisman of this footy club. Slow start. And he's just got it through, I reckon. Didn't look good at all. He took 3 steps. Leant back on the kick and has just got it through around the right side of the goalpost. Fans weren't impressed and he looked a little unsure as well, but Fremantle get one back after Adelaide had the nice 3 either side of quarter time. The Dockers 4-3-27 play Adelaide 8-3-51 as we approach time on in the second term. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams with you. Clement Freo on the text line says, "Hey ABC team, trying to work out if I should crank up my lawnmower and spare myself some purple rain. Let me know." They're still alive, Clem.
Get the lawnmower going.
Yeah, I'd get the lawnmower out at the moment. Yeah, 20 minutes for Fremantle to score a major, and the only other score in this quarter was a rush behind, and that wasn't all that convincing either by Amos.
Ruckman go at it again, and non-controlling umpire spotted a free kick. It will go to Fremantle. Yes, so the ball will come back, and it'll be Sarong to take the free kick. Thought about a hand pass. Now he comes to this broadcast side of the ground, out wide. Clark with a mark, immediately hand passes it off to Ryan. Down to half forward he goes with a kick, and it's pretty accurate as well. Taberner with Butts pressuring him, still took the chest mark. Just chips it over the top, close to the 50. Aish with the ball in hand, within a metre or two of the boundary line. Called the play on, side of the boot, into the pocket, out on the full. Crowd was happy with that. Don't think any of the Dockers players were ecstatic about it, that's for sure. It wasn't a great forward 50 entry. Murray in the left back pocket for Adelaide. Straight across he goes to Millerer. Millerer drops it in short for Hinge, just inside the defensive 50 for the Crows, now on the eastern side.
Short pass over the top to right half back to Duday. Came from Hinge, who receives it back, running by on the outside. Long kick all the way up the eastern wing. Looking for O'Brien, sport away by Young. Doing the crumbing is Thilthorpe. Lowered his toes, picks it up, hands it to Laird, spears it to Murphy, wheels around and hits Gallant.
That's the whole difference in the play. The Crows get the ball and they get it on quickly, Jamo. Freo get the ball, they go back, they look, they wonder what they should do. But as soon as Adelaide get it, they just wheel around, play on quickly, gives your forwards a real opportunity, one-on-one, and a nice kick to Gallant.
It could be a selection headache coming Matthew Nix's way come Thursday night, because Darcy Fogarty, he sounds like he's ready to go.
He was close this week, wasn't he?
Yeah, I reckon Lockie could kick 12 and he still wouldn't get in next week.
He's looking for his second at the moment. Early days in this contest. Crosses the paint of 50, man on the mark, 25 out, 45-degree angle to the right. Gallant has two. Doing his best to hold his spot right now. 9-3-57 as the Crows answer back. Fremantle 4-3-27. 5-goal game, 22 played in the second on Grandstand AFL.
I reckon, Jummo, when you've got a Gallant in the team and there's a Rolls Royce on the side, you're going to get rid of the Gallant.
Yeah. Hey, that's showing your age too. Not too many people know what a Gallant is. Just looking at the stats in front of him, Isaac Rankin is in blue, so he might have a small problem just down on the sidelines at the moment. Schoenberg is the sub, not activated yet, as is Matthew Johnson for Fremantle.
So ball back in the middle. Crows with the answering goal. After Fremantle broke a Crows run with a goal at the 19-minute mark. So Adelaide stretched that lead back to 30 points. Game high margin. In the middle, Darcy had the better of the contest with O'Brien, who followed up well on the ground. Darcy got it though. He was actually standing up. Gave it backwards to Sarong, who gathered it. Out wide with his kick finds Hughes. And he's just ahead of half forward at the moment, or behind half forward, I should say, at the moment. So Hughes takes it. Inside 50 goes with the kick. Dawson had one look at it, thought he was taken high. Umpire didn't spot it. Walters plays it on, and he was worried out of the ball. Dawson looks back at the umpires as the ball goes over the boundary line, as if to say, well, maybe I could have received something then. So we get a throw in. It's about 30 around from the goal face for Fremantle, attacking the Riverbank stand end of the ground.
Toss back in, beat both rucks. At the back, O'Meara gets a handball out to Sarong, darting and weaving amongst three. Gets a kick towards goal, but it's through for a minor score on the left-hand side. 29-point lead to Adelaide. 9-3-57 plays 4-4-28. News downstairs is Rankin has a corky, so nothing too major, but obviously off at the moment.
It's Duday who brings the ball back into this broadcast side of the ground. Through O'Brien's hands, McHenry picked it up, looked for the hand pass forward. Banfield intercepted for Fremantle. His hand pass over the top found Young. Under pressure, got it forward. Henry picked it up for Fremantle. Inside forward, 50. No, there was a late push from McHenry. And so the ball was going to come back. So it affected the kicks at the umpire. It will come back, and it'll be a free kick for Henry.
We've just seen it on the replay. He's hardly touched him.
So Liam Henry with the free kick. Ned McHenry for Adelaide giving away the free kick. 60 from goal. At right half forward, Henry goes. Inboard he goes after waiting and waiting to Young.
Again, Adelaide's flooded back, and now there's a turnover. A little dinky kick that was nothing to Brayshaw. Intercepted, charging across. It was a good effort there from Gallant, but it's gone back with a free kick. Brayshaw taken down without it. Will Fremantle learn here? No. Brayshaw immediately looks backwards inside. Kicks across to Ryan.
They've just got to go. They get going. They're staying and stopping, and there's some space up forward. Walters has found some, but now being picked up.
Ryan goes to Clark. For everything they accomplished last week, they've reverted back to this round 1-2 form. Chip mark, and they've turned it over again. Clark inside 50, straight to Murray. Dockers just too slow for the modern game. The teams that are up the top at the moment, Jam, are the fast footy, frantic turnover, and then Collingwood's the template. Down the line, Murray to a pack, and Ilthorpe in the front position takes it. Looks inside to Dawson. He takes the mark. Schultz came late. Almost flipped him, Dawson. Calls for a lead. Plays on and heads inside 50. Charging out. Gallant flew just a little too high for him. Ryan caught in the keys. Tackle, drops it. Picks it up again. Tackled again. Umpire continues to circle in the scoreboard pocket, but keeps the whistle in his pocket. Jones trying to soccer off the deck. It's picked up by Pearce. Gave it to Ryan. Ricochets out to Darcy. Fremantle get away with it. Brayshaw with the clearing kick in hope. Tabner at the back pulls it in with one arm, and they're out here.
Straight away, looking down the line. O'Meara with the mark. Took it away from Murray for Adelaide. So O'Meara with the mark at left half forward. He waits, he pauses, there's nobody available for him. Finally called a play on. He goes in short. Chase Jones got a hand on it away from Brayshaw. Contested ball. Murphy went at Brayshaw. It came away for Schultz. Hand pass off to Aish inside 50. Adelaide almost with the mark. It came to Dawson. Another possession for him. Off to Saligo. And then Scholl. A dinky left foot kick was very effective to McHenry, and he says, let's just slow down and have a look. Saligo's run around behind and 15 metres away, and now just the short pass, and he's within 5 metres of the boundary line with that mark. At half back, down the line he'll come on this broadcast side.
Dockers have the numbers as Pearce flies, but he's outmarked. Philthorpe 2 against 1 takes it immediately inside to his skipper Dawson. They're out here on the switch. Jones can march into 50 if he wants. Instead lowers the ice to Rochelle, but it went through his hands. It was chopped. Free kick to Josh Rochelle. Almost made a meal of it, but Adelaide will get the set shot. 30 out, straight in front. A chance for his second.
How good was that kick by Jordan Dawson, just to the other side of the ground, really just changed the way Adelaide went forward then. But the umpires, one in control, said, play on, and the umpire deep in Adelaide's forward, he called chopping of the arms.
It looked a pretty clean punch to me watching the replay. He actually hit the ball, so it should have been play on, but you take those when you get them.
Similar to the first quarter, Adelaide kick a goal late and under a minute now in this second quarter.
Had 5 goals on his debut against the Dockers last year. Rochelle comes in and finishes for his second. Absolutely loves it. Adelaide rolling. They're up by 35 points and game high at the Adelaide Oval. 10-3-63 plays Fremantle 4-4-28. As we approach half-time on Grandstand AFL on the text line 0437 774 774. Adrienne in Hampton East says, happy Easter to the Grandstand team. Happy Easter to you. Looking forward to Thursday night's match. It's shaping up nicely, Jamo. The brand that the Crows are playing, the brand that Carlton are playing, sellout crowd. Gather round's going to be special.
Yeah, Kangaroos pushed them yesterday, didn't they, in the first half? I was with a couple of Carlton supporters, and they were going, oh no, this is not going to happen today. But they put their foot down in the second half and finished off pretty well, albeit for the last 3 or 4 minutes. So tantalising game next Thursday.
Sarong with the possession out of the middle to Aish by hand, and then back to Clark running from half back. Out to the logo on centre wing. Brayshaw worried out of it. Scholl picked it up. Came away for Adelaide. Just a hand pass forward. Found McHenry. Is there time for Adelaide? McHenry to Gallant inside 50. 45 out. He's taken the mark. He can go back and settle.
10 seconds.
And now he will settle. Somebody's had a word to him. Although, maybe, who knows these days? Maybe they've got you in their ear, Gemma. So Gallant, who's
have a shot.
98% of fast bowlers in the world would be happy with this run-up. He's almost back to the centre circles, or in line with them.
Jai a miss, isn't?
And Gallant comes in now, starts his run in, trotting. He's just going to cross over now the end of the centre square, gets almost to the 50, unloads, it's straight, not enough. Not straight enough, I should say. Away to the right for the minor score, but the Crows will be happy with their work in the first half here at the Adelaide Oval. They get a good ovation from a good crowd on Easter Saturday. Adelaide 10-4-64, leading Fremantle 4-4-28 at half-time at the Adelaide Oval.
Goal scorers at the major break for the Crows: 2 to Rochelle, Walker, Rankin and Gallant. Singles to Saligo and Millerer. For the Dockers, 2 to Banfield, both in the opening quarter. And then singles to Taberner and Amos. Adelaide looking electric right now, and worrying signs for Fremantle, who seem to have reverted back to their slow, methodical game plan that just isn't working under the pressure from Adelaide. And now they're stuck at 1 and 2. The Suns to come on Friday at Norwood Oval. Jamo, Steve, what do you make of the opening half?
Oh, just dominant from Adelaide, probably since about halfway through that first quarter. In the last 10 minutes of this quarter, 47% time in possession versus 23 for Fremantle. They just looked slow and a bit sluggish, and really stop-start Fremantle. Just couldn't get any run, couldn't get into their forward 50, whereas Adelaide just at times were able to work it slow, keep possession, and then when they had to, pull the trigger and go really hard in the middle of the ground. And Dawson, 17 disposals. Brodie Smith, probably one of his better games this year, starting to run and rebound with 11. Ben Keys, we know, we spoke of his work rate too, led with 10. So Aish doing a pretty good job on him. He's had 11. Sarong with 16 disposals, but just not enough up forward for Fremantle, albeit inside 50s, 25 to 22 in favour of Adelaide. They just look dangerous when they go forward, where Fremantle don't, Steve.
No, I think just Adelaide's pressure, the amount of times they outnumber Freo at the contest, just their willingness to work hard and get and support their teammate it's been a real feature, and that's resulted in them being able to move the ball quickly and have the confidence in their forwards and get the ball in there quickly, whereas we've seen Freo, they're just indecisive when they get the ball. They just take the mark, go back, and it gives Adelaide time to get back and position themselves in the Freo forward half. And then when the ball finally does get kicked in there, Adelaide win it back and able to move it forward. Their method, their ability with the ball has been so much better. So really disappointed with Freo. We talked about them last year, 15 wins. They won a final, but they're probably as disappointing as any side so far this year.
5th best tackling team in the competition, Fremantle. Today they are 35-26, leading that way, but they're the number 1 tackling team inside 50. Adelaide was 16th coming into today's game. Today, 12 tackles inside 50 to Adelaide in the first half. So that's incredible pressure when the football's in there as much as it is.
And sometimes those tackle stats can work against you, and saying that it means you're second to the footy. And Adelaide's ground ball gets 48 to 38.
Yep.
So they're getting there first, and Fremantle are caught behind, and that's why they're tackling a lot, but they don't have their hands on the footy.
Just can't find a way at the moment too. Just the run and the rebound. We spoke of their defence being able to do that, and then just through the midfield, haven't got the ability to get hold of it, then spread it, then go hard to open things up. They seem to be going in sort of that same funnel or channel all the time, and when they have tried to change, they haven't really been able to work it out, and Adelaide's defence have been really good to be able to push back. So you've got Riley O'Brien who gets back there, Riley Thilthorpe is getting back there, and you've got Butts and Murray who are just too tall, and you've got some smaller, slower players. Taberner is leading and he's getting it occasionally, but more so outside 50, and Amiss is probably, he's had the 1 goal won, and lucky to get that 1 goal in the second quarter then with a free.
Couple of texts to run through. Firstly for you, Stephen, from Marty. You can't beat a good, valiant Gallant, great game, enjoying in my garage, having a beer. Cheers, team. Great to listen to the ABC broadcast. Gallant. When were they rolling around,
No,
Steve?
I don't think he was talking about Galants. He was talking about beers.
They were rolling around in the mid-70s to early 80s.
Yeah.
Now, they were predominantly green cars. Would I be right in saying that?
Well, you
The
could get a
Galant?
green one.
Fred from Victoria says, hi team, hoping Adelaide bring this energy and skill into next week's game against the Navy Blues. Happy Easter.
That's the third or fourth comment, isn't it, around
There's a
that?
lot of
Everyone
excitement
is
around it.
really, Yep. I mean, Fremantle they're here for the week too, aren't they?
They are. I was going to say
2 weeks?
Well, they've about 10 days, and they've effectively brought over a squad which they hope will be enough for the 2 matches.
They've only brought over 24.
Yeah,
but
they're willing to bring over more because obviously Peel Thunder starts in the WAFL today.
Yeah, they played last night.
Last night, yeah. So they've left players back there, but they've brought over a squad that they hope will be enough for the 2 matches, but with the provision they can bring over others.
So Matthew Johnson, the sub today, Josh Draper in line to maybe make his debut as a Category B rookie. He's the 24th man, and Nat Fyfe may be getting flown over during the week. And obviously Will Brodie was very impressive for Peel Thunder last night, so he could get a go. But 24 with them at the moment up until next Friday, Gemma, when they play Gold Coast at Norwood. Then it's almost a flip. So West Coast play Geelong here, and then we'll stay another week to play Port Adelaide the week after.
Yeah,
so
right.
the WA teams actually requested that at the start of the year, that if they have to or basically commit to another away game, another long flight, we want to do it so we can play consecutive weeks in Adelaide. So Fremantle first, West Coast second. Hope that answers your question, Marcus, on the text line, who says Freo should just play their seconds every time we go to Adelaide and give the seniors a week off. Well, unfortunately, you can't, because this is the team you've committed to for the next fortnight.
They've lost 8 of their past 10 at the Adelaide Oval. That's where that's coming from.
Mordecai from Narrabeen also says, g'day team, out on the farm for Easter, great call as always. Sad that Fremantle can't even stand up against a bottom 4 team in rebuild mode. And I'm going to put my parochial hat on here that I don't think Adelaide's a bottom 4 team right now. I don't think they're a top 8 team, but I mean, it's disappointing the way that Fremantle is playing, but glass half full is Adelaide aren't a bottom 4 side.
No, I think if they get it right this year, again, with luck and form, I think there are 6 to 10 teams that have been amongst there, and that would be a really big step for Matthew Nix and the group as to where they're heading. And we spoke a lot about where we feel Fremantle should be, but are far from it, aren't they?
Still early season, though, isn't it? I mean, you're looking, St Kilda's looking okay now, aren't they? But, you know, North Melbourne won a few games to start the season. I mean,
But you look at Adelaide, you look at their forward
line.
line, and that's what stands out to me. You look back in 2017 when they made the grand final, they were able to kick goals and score really quickly and efficiently, and that's, you know, Rankins and Rochelle are 2 of the classiest small forwards in the competition. Thilthorpe all of a sudden is starting to play like a number 2 draft pick, starting to tear the competition apart. Taylor Walker's always dangerous. So there's going to be, you know, of the 4 there's going to be probably 3 of them that don't get the best defender, and they're going to be a tricky side the whole season through if they can keep that group together.
Yeah, Gallant's been good today.
He has, yeah.
Playing effectively for Fogarty, who's still
and everyone knows their role. You know, you look at Keys, Murphy, McHenry. They're there to work hard and chase and tackle and put pressure on it and get up the ground and help out, and they're doing that. They know that they're not the class guys that are going to score all the goals, but they're willing to work and make it easier for those other blokes. And it's all, when you know your role in the side, everybody's playing well together, and that's what the Crows look like at the moment.
Rachel in Ballarat says, is Fremantle no Fyfe, no Dockers? If he's going to play, he's playing up forward this year, Nat Fyfe.
He didn't play last week.
Yeah, we saw him in the first
didn't he?
game against the Saints, and he looked really, really struggling, didn't he, for form? And it's tough to play as a forward. You've got somebody in your pocket for the whole match. If you're playing through the midfield, you get a bit of time to perhaps get some easier possession. So it's not going to be easy, and I don't think that if Nat Fyfe was playing today, it would make any difference.
Justin Longmuir spoke about he just can't get his body right at the moment too. He is sort of banged up and has been.
Yeah, he's not going to get better,
years.
is he? He's going to probably the cliff comes very quickly, as they say, and when you get a few injuries, you can really drop off quickly.
Yeah, they are resigned to the fact that he's got to play forward and very much is that sort of player now.
Clem's updated us. He's on the tractor, so I think he's given up on the Dockers. Merv's on the tractor as well, says, seems like Freo, another year of not being able to travel. Disappointing game. Hopefully they can make a contest the next half. It's a 36-point game at the moment. Adelaide 10-4-64 to the Dockers 4-4-28. Still a half a footy to come. Then we'll take you to the MCG for Richmond and the Western Bulldogs with Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke. And then 2 games of footy side by side tonight, St Kilda and Gold Coast and Sydney and Port Adelaide. If you want to hear The Saints game, jump on the AFL, or if you want to hear either game, jump on the ABC Listen app. The AFL button is your home of St Kilda and Gold Coast. The Extra button is your home of Sydney and Port Adelaide. And while I'm continuing to plug the ABC, Jamo, I should say all the hype around Gather Round. Very excited to welcome Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Ben Cameron, Clint Wilden, Matt Clinch across the ditch. A couple of experts as well will be at every game, at every venue. Very excited for what's going to be a ripping weekend of footy.
Yeah, we occasionally let the Victorians in, don't we? So, no, look forward to having them all come over and join in what will be a tremendous, 3, 4, 5 days here in Adelaide. And there's been a lot of promotion across the land for what Adelaide and South Australia has to offer.
I read in the paper this morning, biggest thing since the F1.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Depends on how you measure it, I think, somewhat.
I watched that last week too. It's a tremendous event.
Yeah, incredible. Over 100,000.
Yeah.
Better in Adelaide, though.
It was.
I don't mind having the supercars for now.
Everything's better in your backyard, isn't it?
It was great, though.
I'll give you some score updates, speaking of other sports, from around the country in a moment's time. But we've been rabbling on, gents, so we should take the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. China says it started combat readiness military patrols near Taiwan in response to the island's president meeting a top U.S. leader this week. East Asia correspondent Bill Birtles reports.
China's military says 2 days of drills have commenced around Taiwan, along with Coast Guard patrols in the Taiwan Strait. Details are scarce, but the exercises are billed as a serious warning to so-called Taiwan separatist forces, which Beijing uses to refer to the island's democratically elected government. This week, President Tsai Ing-wen went to the US and met the Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who is third in line in the presidential succession order. The US show of support has angered China, which is determined to one day end Taiwan's self-rule and take control of the island. Beijing has also announced several live fire drills off its coast across the water from Taiwan.
Israel's mobilizing reserve forces after a series of attacks left several people dead. An Italian tourist has been killed and 7 others wounded in a car ramming attack in Tel Aviv. Earlier, 2 British-Israeli sisters were killed and their mother was wounded when their car came under gunfire in the occupied West Bank. It comes after Israeli airstrikes in Gaza and Lebanon amid Hamas rocket attacks. The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has made a last-minute trip to Tennessee after 2 black lawmakers were expelled by the Republican-controlled state legislature. Democrats Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were expelled for attending a gun control protest in the wake of a deadly school shooting in Nashville. Another Democrat, Gloria Johnson, who is white, survived the vote despite playing a key role in the protest. Ms. Harris says they understand the importance of standing up for what is right.
To say that a democracy hears the cries, hears the pleas, who hears the demands of its people, who say the children should be able to live and be safe and go to school and not be in fear.
There's uncertainty about the Pope's health after the Vatican cancelled an Easter engagement for the pontiff. Pope Francis will miss the Way of the Cross procession this weekend due to forecast cold weather. He left a hospital in Rome only last weekend after a bout of bronchitis. Vatican officials say he's expected to attend other key Easter events to be held at St. Peter's Basilica. The last seat to be decided in the New South Wales state election has been won by the Liberal candidate for Ryde in Sydney's northwest. Danuta Kazaki reports.
ABC election analyst Anthony Green has confirmed the result 2 weeks after the state election, with Liberal candidate Jordan Lane ahead by around 50 votes. There's been a swing of 8.6% to Labor and Ryde, previously held by retired MP Victor Dominello. Counting since the election has seen the 2 candidates, Mr Lane and the Labor Party's Lyndall Howison, on a knife edge, with only a few hundred votes between them in recent days. A Labor spokesperson says the party is considering its options in coming days, given the closeness of the count. The final result leaves the new Labor government holding 45 seats, the Coalition 36, the Greens 3 and independent candidates 9 seats.
A 10-year-old Norwegian ship bought by Australia for over $100 million will be converted into a vessel dedicated to undersea military operations. Here's our defence correspondent, Andrew Green.
The ABC can reveal the second-hand commercial ship is currently being inspected in Singapore and will be renamed Australian Defence Vessel Guidance. Its primary role will be to support undersea surveillance systems trials, including the ability to deploy below-surface crewed and uncrewed vehicles and robotic and autonomous systems. Approval for the $110 million purchase was first made by the Morrison government in March last year, but completed by Labor in December.
And 5 teenagers have been charged following a crime spree stretching across Melbourne's inner and outer southeast and eastern suburbs. Yvette Gray with the details.
Police allege the crime rampage started when the group stole 2 cars in Kooyong. Police say the teenagers went on to damage a property and vehicles in Brighton East and were then involved in armed robberies across Knox. 5 teenagers, including 4 boys aged 13, 14 and 15 and a 16-year-old girl, were arrested in one of the stolen vehicles at Pakenham yesterday afternoon. They've been charged with various offences, including aggravated burglary, reckless conduct endangering serious injury and theft. Police say they are still searching for the other stolen car and its occupants.
You're up to date with ABC News.
Well, it's not a normal cafe.
We specialise in the milk of the platypus.
Auntie Donna have millions of views. Now the superstars of socials have an ABC TV show and a cafe.
Here's your sandwich, you dingus.
And more celebrity cameos than latte flavours.
Doesn't that sound silly?
Pretty silly to me, Ray.
Auntie Donna's Coffee Cafe starts Wednesday, April 12 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Duday pops it short, looking for some options. 60 out, he heads to the left forward pocket. Rankin juggles and takes it against Brandon Walker. Opens the angle, snaps from 10 and curls it through for his second. Walker loses it out against Jackson, who has his own crumbing as well. Got it to Sarong again. Turns and kicks without looking, straight to Saligo. 2-on-1 against Schultz. The Crows had the outnumber, and Saligo takes it. Comes in from 45. That is a magnificent finish. Never in doubt. Thilthorpe 2 against 1 takes it immediately inside to his skipper Dawson. They're out here on the switch. Jones can march into 50 if he wants. Instead lowers the ice to Rochelle, but it went through his hands. It was chopped. Free kick to Josh Rochelle. Rochelle comes in and finishes for his second.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Alarm bells for the Fremantle Dockers as Adelaide continue to build into season 2023 with a blockbuster matchup against Carlton incoming Thursday night. The Crows lead by 36 points at half-time. 10-4-64 to Fremantle's 4-4-28. The visitors have been slow, lethargic. Adelaide have really taken the game on, high-pressure footy, plenty of inside 50s, but still a half a footy to play out, and we know scoring can flip instantly in this type of footy. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the call. Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson and Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams, your experts. I was going to give you a fair few scores from around the country, but being Easter, no one started playing yet. So there's a couple of games in the NRL tonight. Everything kicks off at 5:30 Eastern, Panthers and Seagulls. The A-League starts at 5 p.m. Eastern with the Roar and the Jets. The Super Netball, just one game today between the Vixens and the Lightning, which will be at 7 p.m. Eastern. There is, I guess, a score update you could say in the Masters. We're midway through the second round, but play was suspended due to pretty horrendous wet weather. A couple of trees actually fell down at Augusta National.
I saw that too. That was crazy.
Yeah, put a couple of punters in danger. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But at the moment, Brooks Koepka leads. He's 12 under. He's finished the second round. He was 5 under in that round. So he currently leads, but there's a fair few players who haven't finished yet. So we'll wait and see how that scorecard plays out. Here at the Adelaide Oval, though, obviously, it is the Crows by 36 still to come. Richmond and the Western Bulldogs, St Kilda and Gold Coast, and Sydney and Port Adelaide for your Easter Saturday bunch of footy. Moments away from bounce down. Jamo and Steve, do you expect much of the same out of Fremantle? Answer back here.
Well, they started the game well, Stephen, didn't they, too, Fremantle? Then they've just really struggled probably halfway through that first quarter again. And I don't know, just trying to work out or move some names around. to try and find something, but I just don't know where that's going to come from at the moment too.
Yeah, Darcy started well in the middle, didn't he? And Freo were probably winning the ball out of the middle and getting it into their forward half, and they looked a bit dangerous, but when Adelaide started to put a bit more pressure on them, they just reverted to that slow play that we saw in rounds 1 and 2, and if they're going to continue to play like that, so you would imagine if the coaches have said anything to them at half-time, it would be about moving the ball quickly. We've got to win the ball at the source. We've got to move it quickly and give our forwards a chance. So that's their only opportunity to get themselves back into the game. Put a lot of pressure on Adelaide, force the turnover and move it quickly.
Well, Jackson has gone deep forward, a miss, and also Taberner deep. Walter, Swikowski, and I think it is Schultz across the half-forward line for Fremantle.
Crows by 36. Darcy wins it down to Sarong. Again, tackled as he kicked it. Straight up towards the attacking edge of the square. Walters wrapped up Michael Annie without it. Free kick Adelaide. First year Crow heads wide to the eastern wing to Saligo. He'll go up to left half forward. Caught behind McHenry. Bounced off Ryan, but couldn't take the mark back with the flight as Pearce, the Donkers skipper, came across. The general down back who's done everything he can to really halt the momentum of the Crows, but it's been hard this afternoon. Plenty of entries. Good kick. Hits Darcy centre wing.
Well, he plays on, the big ruckman. He looked and looked for a hand pass option, gave it to Sarong. His forward hand pass was into space. Scholl picked it up, slipped it to McHenry. He was taken down in a tackle. Umpire circles. It's about 5 or 10 metres in from the boundary out on the eastern side. Right half forward for the Dockers. We'll get a ball up. So the ruckman go at it again. It's come out to Laird off his left foot down the line. Intercept mark taken comfortably by Ryan, low down for Fremantle. He looks back down the ground and all he sees is a crowd.
First for metres gained in the league. He's had plenty of long kicks down the wing this afternoon. Heads to the Darcy direction. Brought it to ground. O'Driscoll wrapped up by Scholl. Turns it over. Laird. Out to McHenry. Long ball for Adelaide, but the 50's empty. It's Rankin against 3. Brings Brandon Walker to ground. Fends off Cox. Can't get it away and turns it over with a handball to the third Dockers defender in Ryan. Now Brayshaw can exit up the eastern side. Swikowski from the side couldn't control it. Spilled to Saligo. Back to McHenry who gave it away. Swikowski in game number 50. Uses Aish. Forward to Sarong. Lowers the eyes inside 50. Too low. It was shallow. Short of Taberner. Bounces behind through the butts and Adelaide can clear.
Hinge with his non-preferred right foot. Bounces the ball just inside the boundary line. He was looking for Chase Jones, who got the ball, but by that time it had crossed over the boundary line for the throw-in just outside defensive 50 for the Crows on this broadcast side of the ground. Scrappy start to the second half by both sides. Off the ruck contest, nullified. Sloane just sent it forward in hope more than anything. Saligo picked it up, slipped a hand pass inside to Rochelle. He hand passed in hope as well. Sarong now picks it up, gives it to Clark for Fremantle. Young inside with a hand pass, which Hughes took and gave away. Walker off half back for Fremantle. Brandon Walker does well. Forward hand pass, and then inside 50 goes the kick from Swikowski. It's knocked away by the Crows effectively. Chase Jones with his kick wide, too wide. And Saligo couldn't pull it back before it crossed the line. Throw in.
Michael Annie again there, Jamo. Yeah. Walters had both arms outstretched to take the mark and he still managed to spoil it away from him.
We spoke to Matty Nix pre-game and we did ask about him and he said he's familiar the way he plays to Ben Hart, so big raps and certainly shown those sort of characteristics.
Darcy won it down, but it's Chase Jones with the clearance. Hits Taylor Walker, hands it off to Rochelle running on the outside, inside 50. Rankin again outnumbered. Brandon Walker this time gets the better of him. Slaps it in the path of Luke Ryan. Spun by Riley Philthorpe. Got a handball out late to Pearce. Under a bit of pressure now, Fremantle. Clark puts his head over the footy. Scholl brings him down. No Pryor. Ball up to come, left half forward for the Adelaide Crows, leading by 36 points. No score so far, opening 4 minutes of the third term.
Adelaide's pressure just once again. Freo, even when they're not under pressure, the referred pressure, they're just making mistakes.
They go forward with a hand pass to Swikowski this time in the tackle, gets it away. Young picks it up, he's in tackle mode as well. Clark was the next recipient, then Swikowski, all under pressure finally. They've freed up Brayshaw ahead of centre. His hand pass over the top was a turnover. Adelaide the other way through Jones, through the centre of play to Rochelle. Support then from McHenry. by hand to McHenry, and then inside half forward with a great kick to Rankin. Spotted up on the lead. He wants the player on the mark to go back, and now he's going to measure his kick by the looks and take a set shot.
Another Freo turnover. Brayshaw just has to be better. He had two players out and just couldn't hit them with the handball. That were able to springboard the ball back down the other end, and a really nice delivery to Rankin inside 50.
Chase Jones just anticipated, didn't he, the handball that was coming over, able to intercept. Open forward line for Adelaide, a couple of options. Again, Isaac Rankin.
Rankin picked 3 in 2018, 48 games for the Gold Coast. Adelaide's got him back for this, and he's hooked it. He's been in good form so far this season, Isaac Rankin, but he hooked that. So that's the first score of the second half. Adelaide moves out 10-5, 65, plays Fremantle 4-4, 28, 5 minutes into the third term.
Brandon Walker and Brennan Cox, just some dash off the half-back line on a couple of occasions in this third quarter.
Ryan goes up the corridor for his clearing kick to a pack in the square, and off hands Laird can gather. Out to Smith, and Adelaide straight back inside 50. Walker's outnumbered and can't reel it in. Cox at the 4 of the footy uses Brandon Walker. Gets it out to Pearce. Clearing kick to left half back, only as far as McHenry. Got some space on Hughes at right half forward. Adelaide kicking to the southern end. All their way at the moment. Centres his kick. Taylor Walker had a run at it. Jackson came from the side to cut him off. Offhand, Schultz becomes the tackler on Laird. Got it out to Hinge. Braces for contact. Gets through. But turned it over to Jackson. He gave it up. Thilthorpe for the Crows now. Back to Murphy, then Laird, and now Sloan lowers the eyes. Centering kick was too high. Over the head of McHenry. Hughes can cut it off. Fremantle turn and go. Henry got a kick away under pressure, but it was dribble up. Good tackle by Jones. And they've coughed it up again, the Dockers.
Michael Annie with a hand pass to Jones. Wide he goes for Adelaide to Saligo. Near the interchange gates. Ball in a contest again. McHenry went in, was taken high. Walters just slipping up on the tackle.
He's been stiff today, Michael Walters, giving away 3 frees, but I think in the first or the past couple of minutes, the player that's been heavily involved, Chase Jones for Adelaide, doing a lot of defensive work, winning the football back.
McHenry sent it back to Smith, and made Smith with a dive in the gully at the cricket ground. So now he's taken the mark, called a play on, down to half forward, looking for Walker in front. Oh, he couldn't complete the mark. Aish was there. He was split up the centre by contact from Sloan, who knocked the ball away, and the umpire said that was high. So Aish will take the free kick just inside the centre square.
The Norwood product heads straight down the corridor. He was looking for Jackson, did enough to get it down to Sarong, receives it back. Jackson to Darcy, the two rucks combined. Darcy tried to fend off the tackle and was completely stripped by Hinge. Great force there, considering the light mismatch. Terrible kick on the exit, though. Out towards the western side. Adelaide managed to retain it. Jones inside to Laird. It was messy as they exited half back. But
sorry, Aaron, too. I thought it was Aish. He was just about to go to the boundary line, wasn't he, too? And then he turned around and came back on, so hence the kick looked poor.
Laird up to right half forward. Fly from Cox, double tap down, straight to Saligo for the Crows, who hands it in hope. Young will cut it off and walk it over the boundary line for the Dockers.
Saligo's a fantastic ball handler, Jamo. Just doesn't fumble at ankle level, does he? Picks the ball up first time. Really going to be a good player.
So Adelaide, a couple of interchanges there with the fresh legs of Delant and Keys coming onto the ground, and O'Brien brings the ball to the front. Nice hand pass from Rankin, found Jones. Jones inside forward, 50 with the kick. Numbers opposed to Walker. One of them was O'Driscoll, punched it down. Murphy picked it up for Adelaide. Hooked it back over the shoulder. 20 from goal. McHenry was brave. Young knocked it away. Gallant picked it up. Intercept hand pass though. And it was taken by Clark, relieves the pressure off the Taberner. He takes the mark. Schultz is running straight away for the handball receive. Looks for Walters, and the kick was too wide. Walters takes a dive. The umpire says no. Get up, and we'll get a throw in.
We don't give them out often, Jamo, but Michael Walters is on -2 in fantasy scores, which shows how little impact he has had in this game in 3 quarters of footy.
It's probably contributing to why that Fremantle are struggling. They've defended really staunchly in this third quarter. Adelaide, it's been in their forward half, but Fremantle have been running it out.
Beautiful tap from O'Brien down the throat of Saligo, and Adelaide are away. McHenry, piercing kick down the line. He was looking for Rankin. It bounced off him. Fremantle have numbers at left half back. O'Meara looks inside. Schultz takes it. Got a bit of a shove late as well from Keys. Defensive edge of the square on the 45. Spots O'Meara. Career low 19 disposals this season for O'Meara. His first, obviously, with the Dockers, coming from Hawthorn. Stabs it up to Brayshaw, centre wing, broadcast side.
Right knee, heavily strapped. So he's just always had problems, hasn't he? He's a specimen of a man, but just can't get his body healthy.
Brayshaw just lobs it down the line. It comes off hands. Scholl picks it up. Schultz with the tackle, Sarong it is, for the tackle on him. And then Schultz diving out of there, trying to get a hand pass. We'll get a ball up at left half forward, just away from the point of the centre square there as the ruckmen go at it again. Darcy pokes it down. Adelaide with a chance. No. H did well, got it up to Hughes. Forward hand pass from Hughes to Brayshaw. Then Hughes runs on and the kick was smothered. The diving Murphy, and it's now in the forward pocket. But Adelaide force a ball up.
Crows by 37, just the one behind in 10 minutes of footy this term. Can Fremantle break the deadlock? In their 50, 20 out. Darcy slaps it down, looking for Schultz. Couldn't control it. Jones charges in. Big hip and shoulder as he collides with Amos. Went low. Amos stayed high. Ball up to come as Schultz jumps on top of Jones, and he pops up okay.
Great attack.
Applauded by his teammates. O'Brien and Darcy tangle. Spills to the back. Schultz tackled. Could have been in the back. It is. Smith just fell into him. Schultz almost dropped both of his knees immediately as he grabbed the footy, and Smith fell with the momentum.
Yeah, pretty unlucky then, Brodie Smith. He actually did a good job covering his man, but as you mentioned, as soon as he felt the player grab him from behind, just dropped his feet and down he went.
Free kick to Fremantle. Man on the mark will be 25 out, slight angle to the left. Lockie Schultz, 3 goals in round 1 against the Crows last year. Very quiet so far. To the jeers of the home fans, it starts right. He's done enough. Fremantle with its first major since the 19-minute mark of the second term. Back down to a 31-point game at the Adelaide Oval. 10-5-65 the Crows. Fremantle 5-4-34. 11 minutes into the third. Your experts Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
It was against the run of play, Gemma, that one.
Yeah,
the Crows have dominated, but to Freo's credit, they certainly have held up in defence. They haven't looked like they were going to score until then, but they've been able to make sure that Adelaide couldn't.
So it'll be Fremantle looking for a back-to-back goal situation. That's the importance now. Can they follow up what they've done? They've worked hard for one. Can they get another? Adelaide still by 31 points. Umpire about to set us in motion again. And it's O'Brien with the better of the ruck tap. Off to Laird, but in the tackle was only just able to toe the ball. Brayshaw picked it up. Back he went to O'Meara. Further back he goes to Cox at half-back. Then coming around the back, Young took the possession. His kick towards centre wing wasn't effective. Was knocked away, picked up by Dawson for Adelaide. Hand pass over the top to Duday. Wide he went to Smith, dodged around to Capel, gave it back to Duday and then wide for Laird. Down the line he goes with the kick. Gallant in the contest, Cox knocked it away. Slow to recover, he's got an ankle issue from the last quarter. Cox got it on the boundary line, hand pass back, taken by Brandon Walker, and he took off. Took off well and went down to half forward with his kick. Michael Annie was there for Adelaide, punched it away, came to Smith. Kick around the corner. Chase Jones was content in the contest with O'Driscoll to see it over the boundary line, and he did so.
On the text line, one of our listeners has let us know that it is absolutely dumping with rain in Melbourne. So, unfortunately, the Tigers and the Dogs are set for some wet weather footy at the G, which we'll get a preview of at three-quarter time. Toss back in. Darcy wins it down. Beautiful tap. Straight to Sarong. Had 2 to beat. Lost it on the second tackle. Dawson got him. Holding the ball. Just behind centre wing on the logo. Broadcast side.
Great tap, wasn't it, too? Sarong just read it so well, but Dawson strong in the tackle.
Not a great kick up to right half forward. Young came across Sloan to win it down. Front and square was Laird. Gets it to McHenry. Had a few options. Chose Rankin. Walker did well. That's Brandon to bring it to ground. But Rankin sells some candy. In and out. Turns top of the goal square. Fist falls the way of Clark. Still in play. right forward pocket. He hands it off to Wilson, who's standing over the behind line. It was as close to deliberate as it gets, but they'll get away with it, Fremantle. Adelaide up by 32 points, 10-6-66. The Dockers 5-4-34.
2 behinds for Adelaide this quarter too, so again just highlighting how well Fremantle have defended.
Wilson took every second available to him. Now he plays on, kicks it high. It's bounced over the pack onto centre wing, and we get a ball up. Taken down was Michael Annie in the tackle by Schultz. Ball up right on centre wing. Allows more interchanges to take place. Walters coming back on the ground, as is Aish for Fremantle. Sloan off the ruck contest. He was tackled by 2, Sarong and Henry. Another ball up, slightly now to Adelaide's side of centre wing.
Thilthorpe wins it down over his head tap. He loves those overheads, whether it's boot or tap. Free kick in the contest, though, for a hold. Going against Rory Laird to Sarong. Doesn't waste any time. This is the Fremantle we want to see. Hits Henry. Stabs his kick up to Taberner. He's 55 out. Had a runner in Henry. Should have given it to him. Instead, he kicks wide left forward pocket and it's spoilt away. Bailey Banfield in front position, but Smith got there. Or Duday, rather. Forces the boundary throw in. Given enough to Henry. He was marching into the 50.
Just give it first time, isn't it, too? Just trust your instinct and your voice to carry the football. Certainly a change in the way Fremantle are playing this quarter, isn't it?
Yeah, they're looking to get the ball on quicker, aren't they? They're making some mistakes, but at least they're persevering.
Leading the quarter, 1 goal to 2 points. Switkowski off the ruck contest, takes it, runs inside 50, hand passes across the 50 to Hughes, long into the forward pocket, astray as badly as it could be, out on the full. Adelaide will take over in the back pocket. So Butts goes across the goal face to Millerer. He waits and waits and then gives it to Murray, who flanks him on the outside. Wasn't his best kick, slightly off the side of the boot. McHenry perhaps the target opposed to Clark. Sloan comes in for assistance. Henry over the top of him. Sloan pulled it in. No. Umpire off the ball. I'm sure the umpire was about to give holding the ball, and then the umpire off the ball said no. It was a high tackle. So it'll be Rory Sloan, just a couple of metres in from the boundary. Goes straight to the interchange gates. Standing there was Hinge.
Do you think that we want, as a footy community, umpires that are actually in charge of the play being overruled by umpires that are way out of the play?
Hinge heads inside 50. Jackson very strong against Thilthorpe. Cuts it off. He's been all around the ground this afternoon. Nice intercept mark down back. I agree with you, Steve. The controlling umpire was literally 5 metres away. And
it's happened 3 times today in this game.
Clear and kick for the Dockers. To a pack on the western side. Back with the flight. Great bravery from Hinge to bring it down. Former skipper Sloan gave it off to Laird. Kick was smothered, but it ricocheted to Saligo. Right half forward. Hands it in the path of McHenry. Walker runs him down, but it's over the shoulder. At the last possible moment, McHenry slipped. And Brandon Walker, unfortunately, has caught him high as a result. He's played it very well, McHenry.
He's got some wheels, hasn't he, too?
Yeah.
Brandon Walker.
Saligo, once again, just beautiful ball handling once again. Just a nice half volley over to McHenry.
We spoke a lot about Sam Switkowski's 50th game. Ned McHenry as well, a milestone. Picked 16 in 2018. 13 goals last year. He won't be opening his account this year. Across the face and rushed through for a minor score. So former first round pick Ned McHenry, surprised to see him on the outer in the opening few rounds, but has impressed at Sandful level. Crows by 33.
So Fremantle in with a kick from Ryan. Long he goes, out the back. Millerer takes it, tries to stand up in a tackle. And, well, I thought Walters was tripped over by Millerer, but he hand-passed it back. Aish picked it up. He couldn't get a clean disposal, and he's pitched for holding the ball. Play on advantage. Sloan goes to Thilthorpe. Thilthorpe takes the mark and immediately moves it long and high for Walker. Couldn't take the mark. Brandon Walker, though, at the back, takes it away from Taylor Walker. Umpire said there was a push there afterwards on Brandon Walker, so it'll be free kick down the field taken by Fremantle through Hughes, and then the hand pass over to Banfield, and Banfield kicks it down to half forward, 2-on-1. Michael Annie comes across, couldn't take it. Murray was there to help him out. Now it comes to Millerer, picks up the loose ball straight off to Dawson.
Kicks up the eastern wing, beautiful. Hits Duday just behind centre wing. Looks inside on the 45. I don't think that was 15, but they paid it to Murphy.
I don't think that was 10.
Murphy has it just behind centre wing. Crows up by 33. Approaching time on in the third. Great to have you with us this Easter weekend. Up to left half forward. Spoilt away by Brendan Cox. Young was front and square for the Dockers. Heads back. Uses Hughes, then Sarong. Now Jackson arches the back. Races away from a couple. He's run a mile. Keeps going and gets the kick away into the 50. It was too high for Taberner at the back. Michael Annie read it best. Gathers just in front of the defensive goal square. Dangerous kick for McHenry. Charging across. Wilson came in and gave away a free for a push.
What's the umpire doing here?
I don't think he even pushed there. He flew early, and it's actually going to Wilson now. How can Wilson be pushed when he's running across the wing, uncontested, charging into McHenry? Free kick to Fremantle, top of the goal square. Outnumbered, flying spoil there by Duday, did well, rushes it through for a minor score. I have no idea how Wilson can be pushed when there is no one in the vicinity of 5 metres as he's charging towards a contest.
Oh, well, he was on his head.
Yes, and he actually went too soon, didn't he? It was poorly judged jump at the ball. McHenry should have got the free kick.
That's the worst call I've seen here at the Adelaide Oval, I reckon.
So Adelaide moving the ball from the back line down to Rochelle. He had a touch ball, so he played on straight away to Sloan. Down the line, he found Saligo. He went down the line to Thilthorpe. Sloan had followed up for the inside ball, a hand pass, and then into the forward pocket. Rankin with a mark against the boundary line, and probably only 25 metres around from the goal face. He looks inboard, considers.
He's taking his time and probably too slow. Had options. Now it's all congested. Fremantle pushing down under 4 minutes to go. This last or third quarter, Adelaide have only kicked the 3 behinds to Fremantle 1-1.
So pause on the scoring rate, which at half-time at Adelaide 10 goals 4 to 4-4 of Fremantle. Now in comes Rankin, and he mishits what he was going to do as a banana. It's come off hands. Brandon Walker took it. Could have been a free kick to Adelaide for high. Brandon Walker clears the area. Miller stands under and takes a strong mark outside the attacking 50, looks inboard straight away, finds Dawson. He takes the ball, plays on straight away, says, "That's in my range." Adelaide's first goal of the third quarter, and extends what already was a very handy lead. Adelaide 11-7-73, Fremantle 5-5-35. We've gone through 21 minutes of the third term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Stephen Williams and Rod Jamieson.
That's a weapon, isn't it, Gemma? That left foot of Jordan Dawson's. We've seen him just carve sides up. He's so precise with it, and it gets to his target so quickly. And that was from probably 55 metres. Just nice, easy leg straight through the middle.
And he doesn't look like he puts a lot of effort into it either, too.
That's a sign of a good kick, isn't it?
It's just sweet.
The sub has been activated for the Dockers, so Nathan O'Driscoll is off. Matthew Johnson is on. We'll just check and make sure that that's not an injury sub, but I believe it's a tactical one. So Matthew Johnson in his second game after 6 disposals on debut last week. And Crossy, as he mentioned, Fremantle haven't kicked consecutive goals this entire game. Adelaide again, up by 38.
Matthew Johnson onto the wing.
In the middle, O'Brien wins it down, then Sockers off the deck up to half forward, charging out to meet it. Rochelle threw it out as he gathered. Free kick to Fremantle. Jordan Clark, the defensive edge of the square, looking for some options as Adelaide flood back.
Game's got a bit of a feel about it. You think Fremantle is still in it if they can get a couple, but if Adelaide get the next 1 or 2, it's just going to blow it right open.
Clark to a packet right half forward, off hands. Amos did well to get it to Sarong, heads to the top of the goal square. Good Shepherd from Banfield, left Schultz free. He could march in to answer back with his second. Fremantle trail by 32 once again. They move to 6-5-41. Adelaide 11-7-73, 23 minutes into the third on Grandstand AFL.
One of the few occasions Freo were able to actually get over the back of the Adelaide defence, and the Crows probably just lost a little bit of concentration and were too far in front of their men, and Sarong was able to get the kick over the back, and that's Freo's easiest goal of the day.
Sean Darcy 29 hitouts to Riley O'Brien 20 hitouts to advantage 9-7 in favour of Fremantle. On the clearance work, Sarong 8, O'Meara 5, then Jordan Dawson with 5. First possession, Sarong with 10, Rory Laird with 6. So strong around the football, Fremantle, and they did it well then on that occasion.
So back in the middle, and it's been a stalemate in this third term thus far as we close in on three-quarter time. Rochelle out the back to Smith, and then Sloan, and then over the top he goes into the path of Dawson on centre wing, on the logo on centre wing. Dawson with the tackle on Brayshaw. Adelaide turns it over through Smith. Handballs it over the top for Keys. A fumble, a look, a quick hand pass to Smith. Off to Rochelle. Inside 50. Rochelle's bombed it out on the full. Just rushed his kick a bit under pressure. And it is long and out on the full. And Switkowski is hobbling across to take up his position for this kick in from Clark. That's interesting for Fremantle too.
Clark heads to a one-on-one. Amos up against Jones. And the latter did well to spoil it over the boundary line for the Crows. Chase Jones feels like he's starting to take the next steps, Jamo. A pick 9 of many moons ago, but yeah, this year, I mean, last week he was the sub, very explosive, and doesn't feel as lost out there this afternoon as we've seen in the past.
He's hard at it. 16 disposals today, 4 inside 50s, and uses the footy very well.
O'Brien won it down, but it's straight to the sub in Johnson. Weaved through traffic. He's kicked down the line for Brayshaw, who gathered but spun and took the ball out of play in the process. So a boundary throw in left half forward for Fremantle, trailing by 32 points at the moment. Still to come today, Richmond and the Western Bulldogs at the MCG, and then St Kilda on the Gold Coast, and Sydney and Port Adelaide. Toss back in, Darcy front position, won it down again. O'Brien sockers off the deck though, looking for Rochelle, fumbled, put Young under a bit of pressure and got it back. Murphy out wide to Laird, down the line to McHenry. Right half forward. Has 4 options, even numbers at the moment inside 50, but he's taking his time. No leads, finally gets one. Presenting was Rankin, had 2 to beat. Cleared the pack. Goes again, Isaac Rankin, had his knees taken out by the sliding Young. Play continues. Smith wrenches it out, gave it to Laird. The check side off a step. Minor score on the right-hand side. 11-8-74. The Crows up by 33 points. Fremantle 6-5-41. Still 90 seconds to play here in the third.
It'll be Ryan to bring the ball back in. He comes to this broadcast side with a long kick. He was up high from Murray, he missed the ball. Miller picked up the crumb, hand pass smothered. It's in Sarong's hands, or somehow he got it out, don't know. Johnson forward, hand pass, found Taberner to Brayshaw. Aish was running, now he gives it off to Banfield. He gets to inside the 50 just about with his kick into the pocket, and it's picked up by Amos and then screwed it across his body with his left foot and only just missed to the near side. He was deep in the forward pocket, under pressure of the tackle. Got it through for the minus score. 26.5 down in the quarter. 32 the margin in favour of the Crows. They led at half-time by 36.
That was a terrific effort, wasn't it, to snap from that position. But just once again, the kick inside 50 was disgraceful. They had so much time to hit a target and just didn't put it to the advantage of their teammate.
Out to the eastern wing now. Good pack mark by Philthorpe. Got above Ryan. Wheels, heads up to left half forward. O'Brien wasn't facing the flight of the foot, he had to turn. Darcy knew exactly where it was going. Cut it off for Fremantle, gave it to Ryan. Sells some candy around Philthorpe and then it's long up to right half forward. Amos up against Michael Annie, the future of the game, battling right there. Amos sockers into the scoreboard pocket, coming out to meet it. Brave was Murray. Head over the footy, gathered clean against Amos. Got it out to Miller, clearing kick to Sloan at left half back.
Great pickup too, Nick Murray.
Confirmation the sub for Fremantle. O'Driscoll was tactical. Matthew Johnson on the ground now for the Dockers. And Adelaide maintained control at the Adelaide Oval. 32 points their lead heading into the final change. 11-8-74, the Dockers 6-6-42. Goal scorers, all the Crows, 2 to Rochelle, Walker, Rankin and Gallant. Singles to Miller, Saligo and Dawson. Meanwhile for Fremantle, 2 to Banfield and Schultz. Singles to Taberner and Amos. Plenty to play for both sides. Fremantle need to show some fight. Otherwise they'll be 1-3 by the end of this round, and the winner, at least temporarily, will be in the 8 at the final siren, which looks like it could be Adelaide's way. 11-8-74 plays 6-6-42. Great to have you with us across this Easter Saturday on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
We are one,
but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream, and sing with one voice.
You're listening to ABC Radio.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
O'Brien and Darcy tangle. Spills to the back. Schultz tackle. Could have been in the back. It is. Smith just fell into him. Lockie Schultz. To the jeers of the home fans. It starts right. He's done enough.
Brandon Walker clears the area. Miller stands under it, takes a strong mark outside the attacking 50. Looks inboard straight away, finds Dawson. He takes the ball, plays on straight away, says, "That's in my range."
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
The Crows rocking and rolling at the Adelaide Oval. Fremantle look a little bit lost, down by 32 points with a term to play here on Grandstand AFL. Plenty of footy coming your way this Easter Saturday. Tonight, the Saints and the Suns at the Docklands. You can hear that on the ABC Listen app. Hit the AFL button. If you want to hear the Swans and the Power, hit the AFL Extra button there at the SCG. Both ripping games, but most importantly, coming up next is Richmond and the Western Bulldogs. What it sounds to be a wet, windy MCG. Calling the action alongside Ben Cameron, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke is Matt Clinch. To preview it all, he's with us now. Clinchy.
Aaron, good afternoon to you. Yes, both Richmond and the Western Bulldogs trying to build some early season momentum after some patchy form to start the season. And as you touched on the banter from the two coaches leading into the match as the match is being played at the MCG and not under the roof of Docklands, because it is wet. And I think it's going to get wetter throughout the afternoon. It feels like the rain has set in, and that might be one of the challenges throughout the rest of the match. So there's no late changes. Jack Reebok was dropped and Trent Cotchin has been named as the sub. So the team sheet's just coming in. Mitch Hannon named as the sub for the Western Bulldogs, who got on the board last week with a gutsy win over the Brisbane Lions. But they'll hope to play a little bit better today in what's going to be trying conditions. So the Tigers chasing their second win of the season. The Western Bulldogs also searching for their second. We can't wait to bring it to you after your match here at the Adelaide Oval, where the rain is falling down and the lights are on at the MCG.
Looking forward to it, Clinchy. If you do want to hear any game across this round in the Premiership season, the ABC Listen app is your home of the AFL. If you want to get in touch with any of the commentary teams across all of those games, the text line 0437 774 774. Rod Jamison, Stephen Williams, your experts this afternoon. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the call. Jamo, Steve, 5-goal game. Fremantle showed a bit of fight in the third, but it'll take something dramatic, I think, to fall over here.
Well, they played a little bit differently that quarter, and I just can't, again, see them scoring enough. They haven't been able to, you called it, they haven't been able to get consecutive goals at any part of this game or likely to do it. Sean Darcy's done an incredible job in the middle and got the better of Riley O'Brien too. And we've seen glimpses of Brandon Walker and Brennan Cox just run and try and get going off the half-back line. But Caleb Sarong, 25 disposals, continues to win the football. 13 contested, 4 inside 50s. In that quarter, Rory Laird got hold of James Aish. He had 13 disposals in the third quarter to take him to 23. James Aish only had the 4, so a little impact on there where he's been quiet up until half-time. But, Stephen, I just still can't find a way for Fremantle at the moment.
It was a bit strange, Jamie, because Adelaide actually dominated the quarter. And they were plus 12 in contested possession, plus 22 in disposal. So, although the scoreboard went Freo's way, Adelaide had the ball a whole lot more and dominated possession, but to Freo's credit, they were able to hold up at the defensive end and stop Adelaide scoring. But yes, it's hard. It's 32 points, 5 and a bit goals down coming into the last quarter. I'm sure Justin Longmuir is just wanting his side to compete like they did in that quarter and perhaps just stop a bit of the damage that maybe Adelaide can put on them and get within 2 or 3 goals. And you never know, if there's 10 minutes left and you can get within 2 or 3 goals, all of a sudden things change a bit. But the way the game's travelling, it looks like Adelaide will probably win pretty comfortably.
So Fremantle made it sub heading into three-quarter time with Nathan O'Driscoll off for Matthew Johnson. Adelaide has countered that with Jordan Bunce off for Harry Schomburg. So not exactly like for like, but they've decided that the key back can have a rest for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they rejig it. It looks here that Jordan Dawson is going to go back and maybe fill that tall post. The rest will stay the same. Schoenberg had 34 disposals here in the SNFL last week and kicked a couple of goals. So worked on his defensive part of the game. So quality midfielder into the game.
Contract year for him as well. So he wants to step up to the plate and show he can be one of the Bulls that leads this new midfield brigade. Adelaide by 32 points. 11-8-74. Plays Fremantle 6:42. Quarter of footy to come your way on Grandstand AFL. Then we'll take you to the MCG for the Tigers and the Dogs. In the middle, both rucks miss it with a clean slap in the air that collected each other. O'Brien soccers off the deck, straight to Brandon Walker for Fremantle, who gathers and bursts away from half back. Up towards the 50, Taberner leading out, couldn't control it. Walters was front and square. Gathered it, kicked around the body, under a bit of pressure. It bounced through Hinge. Clean gather by Schultz. Got it to Taberner. Dribbling kick from 20 is good. He's got 2 after a goalless rounds 2 and 3. Matt Taberner may have found his way back on the lunchbox, Jamo. He's done well this afternoon.
You can just see how hard it is for a defence, any defensive group, to actually, when there is space in the game, you go back to Brandon Walker, just his speed coming off the half-back line.
It's impressive, isn't it, Jamo? Yeah, that was a great run. And also Lockie Schultz, and just to be able to gather that ball on a really nice little handball under pressure. And Taberner was able to roll that one through. So that's certainly the start that the Dockers wanted. Let's see if they got any more of that in them.
Mitch Hinge put himself in the right position too, but just got a half volley and it just bounced straight up in the air. And Fremantle were able to take it.
So Fremantle trailed in this game by 10 points last season in round 1 and ended up winning by 1. So it's a bigger job to come back this afternoon, but they've started well. Out of the centre will be Schonberg, pinch for holding Brayshaw. So Brayshaw takes the free kick down to half forward for Fremantle to Schultz with the mark. He plays on, goes deep with his kick. Michael Annie again stands up. The young man takes a strong intercept mark, spreads the ball wide straight away. Ryan comes from behind O'Brien, knocks it away. Then the hand pass from Johnson found Darcy, and the ruckman sends it back long again. Standing up this time and taking a strong mark was Murray. Came off hands the first time from Murray, and then he went back behind Taberner, dived and took the mark.
It's been good today.
In the right back pocket.
Murray calls for some options and then clears defensive 50 to right half back. Taylor Walker in front position, just edged out of it by Brendan Cox, enough. No free kick, Fremantle intercept, back inside 50. Cox is looking for Walters over his head. Taberner sported in the path of Switkowski, but he fumbled. Hinge caught in the tackle by Walters and dropped it late. He should have just walked it over the boundary line. He tried to handball it back in and dropped it. Free kick Fremantle. Left forward pocket, 20 out, on the boundary line. Sonny Walters, this is where he does his best work. Michael Walters, 4 last week, opens the angle, kicks around the body, just touched on the goal line. He didn't have the height on the curve. Minus score. He's getting back. Murray got a hand on it. Fremantle trail by 25 points, 7-7-49. Adelaide 11-8-74, early stages of the 4th.
A few murmurings around the crowd.
You can sense a change, Crossy, too, isn't it? Just the way Fremantle have opened up 10 disposals to 3 inside 50s.
Smith with a long kick out to the eastern side. Comes to ground. Aish fighting for it. Still they fight on. Still the umpire keeps the whistle at bay. Sarong had it in there. Finally Adelaide get the ball out. Jones goes back to Murray. Murray from a step. Looking for Walker. He was run under the ball. At the back was Brandon Walker for Fremantle. Hands it off to Ryan. Ryan sends it long to the other end of the centre square. Ball comes off hands again. Laird runs in, takes it. Hand passes off to Michael Annie. Michael Annie for O'Brien on centre wing. Dives back, takes the mark. Forward hand pass. I think he thought that maybe not a mark. Gave it to Thilthorpe. He went to Jones. Jones just chipped it back. Laird behind centre wing. Content to take his time. Now he goes forward. Long with a kick looking for Walker. Bumps off one. Pearce comes, knocks it towards the boundary line for Freo. Taylor Walker knocks it on. Comes to Keys. He received the hand pass. Runs around. Snaps for goal. Too narrow. Maybe possibly had some options, but he decided to go for goal. And it was a minus score. The margin 26 in favour of the Crows. 4 minutes into this final quarter. The umpire's holding it up. We've got 2 balls on the ground. No, he says go ahead. So Young takes the kick.
Bruce it straight up the spine. Darcy the target. Bounced off both his hands. Murphy was front and square. Back inside from Keys. Too high for Walker. At the back, gathered by Rankin, though he can hand it off to Tex. Snaps from 25 for his third. Taylor Walker having a day out. Adelaide up by 32 once again. 12-9-81, Fremantle 7-7-49. 5 minutes into the fourth on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Well, it was like 2 minutes ago. Fremantle were all over Adelaide, and they'd only had 3 disposals, had 3 inside 50s, and then that just changed through that passage of play, or a couple of passages of play, just to keep it alive. Taylor Walker involved, Keys involved, Rankin involved. Once again, now it's 20 disposals to 13. And 3 apiece inside 50s. It was the goal that Fremantle didn't want Adelaide to get.
Walker kicking the first 2 goals of the game for the Crows. Now he's added his 3rd. And Adelaide, as you were at three-quarter time, 32 points the better on Fremantle. In the middle, Darcy just got the ball down for Fremantle. Schonberg picked it up, was immediately claimed by Brayshaw. And the umpire says, give it to me, throw it up. Comes down near Sloane, and then he was restricted. Now another heavy tackle coming in on O'Meara. Schultz broke out, got it somehow to O'Meara, who cleared it down to half forward. Two-touch grab to Schultz. He goes into the forward pocket looking for Jackson, and again a double grab, and Jackson pulls down the mark.
Just moving it quicker, Stephen, aren't they?
Yeah, it gives the forwards an opportunity, doesn't it? Jackson was able to just come across the front of the goals, get his hands to the ball, and with his height, he should be marking those. So this will test him, but getting it out in the middle, giving your forwards an opportunity with quick footy, makes you look a whole lot better.
Looks like a Viking, doesn't he? He's got the long hair and the headband. You wear a headband, Aaron?
Do I have the hair for that, Gemma?
Jackson's only some 20 metres out. 45-degree angle, has no problems with that equation. Fremantle get one back. They move along to 8 goals, 7-55, trailing Adelaide 12-9-81. And we've gone nearly 7 minutes in this final quarter at the Adelaide Oval.
It's coming straight off as well, surprisingly. Actually, Alex Pearce has actually done a pretty good job on Taylor Walker, hasn't he? 2 goals in that first quarter. Outside of that, he's kept him reasonably quiet. And he bobs up and snaps that 1-2. But Luke Jackson slowly finding his feet with his new team. 2 goals last week. Hasn't really had a big day today, but
you can't fault him for effort. He's been all around the ground. You've seen him in defensive 50, attacking 50 in the middle, but he hasn't imposed himself.
He's a big man.
26 points the margin. Adelaide up in the fourth term. O'Brien wins it down straight to Johnson in the guts, the sub. Spent it before he earned it. Rochelle charges in, wrapped up by Darcy. Ball up to come.
Jackson's had 11 disposals today, 4 tackles.
In the middle, Brayshaw, stripped of it by Schonberg, hands it out, uses McHenry, who weaves around, completely loses 2 Dockers players, inside 50 for the Crows. Pearce coming out, should have taken the intercept mark, but fumbled. Rankin up against Johnson, 30 out. Ryan comes to assist for the Dockers, gives it to Cox, clearing kick for Henry. Is it in the field of play just? He takes it right on the paint, right half back.
Brave.
Looks inside, but it's a dangerous kick for O'Meara. 2 Crows. Rochelle wins out. Inside 50, his kick is poor. Straight to the hole where Ryan is waiting.
Ryan with the mark. Just takes his time. Hughes is wide. He decides to go more centrally for Darcy. Ball knocked away from the big ruckman. Illegal, he said, the umpire. O'Brien came from behind, over the shoulder. Darcy wants to get on with it. Finally he does, sends it high to centre-half forward. Dawson under it. Banfield comes late. Henry takes the ball off hands. Interesting hand pass. Schultz got it, gave it off to Banfield. Arced around to the left foot, but the umpires made the decision. It was a holding the ball decision against Schultz. Free kick to Brodie Smith, just inside attacking 50. Basically a centre-half pack for the Crows. There was some concern about Switkowski and how fit he was discussing things with the Dockers doctor down there, but now he looks he's ready to come back on.
Smith's exiting kick was poor. It was cut off by Brayshaw, gave it to Wilson. Tumbling kick into the 50. Just didn't give Tabner any chance. He slid in, wrapped up immediately by Smith. Ball up.
Just have to hit that kick. It's a simple kick. There's no pressure on you. Inside 50, he marks that. It's a shot at goal.
45 out from the southern end. straight in front of the Fremantle goal. Darcy wins it down, looking for Johnson, charging through O'Meara, hands it out to Henry. He's been quiet, but this would be big. Curls it behind the back. Excellent back heel by Tom Duday to rush it through. It's caught the back of his ankle. Wasn't even facing the footy. That's some marvellous soccer skills to force a rush behind.
That's it. I wish it had been the other end. He kicked a goal like that.
Liam Henry just should have run straight at the goals and kicked a drop punt, but kicked around his body and didn't get enough height in the ball.
25-point lead to the Crows as they look to exit defensive 50. Nice kick. Dawson finds Saliga.
Had to be weighted well, and it was.
Saliga down the line to the valiant Gallant, who couldn't take the mark. And now O'Meara's got it. He slung in a tackle. Looked like he dropped it. Darcy picked it up. Umpire called play on. Brayshaw's over it. Adelaide have got runners out the front if they can get it there, and they do. Keys is in space after receiving from Scholl. Inside forward 50. Good kick. Rankin on the lead up takes the mark. And the man on the mark is probably 35 from goal, and Rankin goes back to near the boundary line to set himself up.
Well done, Harry Schoenberg, too. Just his defensive effort on Jaeger O'Meara. Tackled hard, strong, loose ball. Adelaide are away.
So Rankin already with 2 in his pocket this afternoon. He's had a good start to the season.
2-2.
Now in he comes. 8 goals, 6 before this afternoon. Sends it right. Wasn't the greatest of results. And in fact, it was socketed through by Saliga. Johnson was slow to react as the ball came off the contest. It was floating along, and Saliga, I think he may have snuck it nutmeg through the legs. But just wait, we're going to get a score review. But Johnson just hesitated, lost control of the ball, and Saliga from behind him has thrown the foot at the ball.
I reckon you're right, Crossy, too. Johnson has got his hands on the football. He's let it go, and Saliga's put his foot through to it. It's going to be tight, but it does
Probably
look like a goal.
Depends on what the umpire said to start with. That's a goal, yeah.
Yep, we've got another angle, low down, and it shows Saliga gets foot to ball, and Johnson, who lost the ball, just didn't get his hand down in time. That's a clean strike. To use the soccer term, that was a striker's goal, just to pinch it away. So Saliga will have his second of the afternoon. The Crows will get their 13th. Crowd confirmation there. Adelaide 13,987. Fremantle 8,856 on Grandstand AFL across ABC Radio, Sport Digital, the ABC Listen app. You got Stephen Williams and Rod Jamieson as your experts.
Bit of A-League stuff at one end, Tom Duday, and then Saliga down the other.
On the text line, Glenn in Tara, Queensland says, lovely cloudless afternoon out here on the Darling Downs. The yellow belly are giving me occasional sport. The Dockers are ruining my tips. Happy Easter to the commentary team. Let us know where you're listening across the weekend, 0437 774 774.
What's the yellow belly?
The fish.
The fish. A yellow belly fish. Never heard of it. Is it a snake?
I thought it was a snake, yeah.
Maybe it's a snake, yeah.
I only know that from the Midnight Oil song. Yellow-bellied black snake. Isn't that a song? Isn't that a part of a song?
Back to the footy, gents. We'll hit Google later. Bounce in the middle. Didn't really go too far. O'Brien won it down straight to O'Meara, caught in the tackle. They'll go again. Jackson's in there for Fremantle right now. They're trailing by 31. He won it down. Off the deck, Schomburg Sockers in the path of Murphy. Caught in the Wilson tackle. Looked in the back. Whistle stays away. Wilson's wrestling Murphy on the deck and called holding the ball. Lee Howson had plenty of time to make the call, and Fremantle race away. Wilson with a booming kick into the 50. Back with the flight, Murray Brave. Knew Amos was charging at him. He turned and took the intercept mark. Adelaide in defensive 50 once again.
Plays very tall, Nick Murray, doesn't he? Stands in front.
Springs in the heels.
Yeah.
It was right. It's a fish.
It's a fish.
It's a fish.
Also known as golden perch.
You can tell none of us spend our weekend on the boat.
One of my mates from the Riverland, Bert Kemp, has texted yellow belly perch, golden callow. There we go. Thanks, Bert.
Are they nice eating fish?
So Adelaide has spread from the eastern to the eastern side, I should say. Michael Annie took the ball, went long. It came off hands. Soligo was excellent. And then Chase Jones dropped it short for Keys. Umpire called that not 15. Keys plays on, looks for Rochelle. From behind comes Clark for Fremantle and just knocks it over the boundary line. So just ahead of centre wing for Adelaide, out on the eastern side of the ground. 13-9 for Adelaide. Fremantle, 8 goals, 8. Just confirmation of the crowd this afternoon. We thought it was pretty good for a Saturday in Adelaide. 33,725.
Easter Saturday as well, and most people will be travelling north and south from the ruck contest. Comes down to Rankin, little 1-2, uses Laird, check side into the 50, knocked away from Brandon Walker. Tackle laid by Keys, who holds things up scoreboard pocket and get a ball up.
Just got a stinger, Brandon Walker there too, was on him man, put his arm out and his teammate came through and sort of got him from behind.
Crows both 31, inside attacking 50. One more might just do it, you'd think. Walker against Jackson in the ruck, won it down Taylor, but straight down the throat of Matthew Johnson, the sub. His clearing kick, bit errant, takes a tumble over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play, centre wing on the eastern side. More texts about the Adelaide-Carlton game next week, Jamo. Brett in Canberra says, thanks for the call. As a Blue supporter, really looking forward to next week's matchup. Will it be a record crowd? It'll certainly be a sellout. See how we go in terms of records.
Off the ruck contest, chance for Murphy. He fumbled for Adelaide, so back come Switkowski, gave it to Clark, then back to Switkowski. Forward hand pass for Aish. Running for him was O'Meara. Inside forward, 50 stab kick. Amos missed what he should have taken. Then he gave a forward hand pass for Walters from the pocket. Snap across the body. And a minor score, just a little narrow. Asking a bit much. He was within a metre of the boundary line, snapping. Adelaide quick to bring the ball back in. Soligo, who's having a day out, has taken the mark from a Dawson kick. You want to be on the end of a Dawson kick. You know he's going to put it in the right place.
Soligo's had 19 disposals, 8 contested, 6 ground balls, 2 clearances, so really solid day.
Down the line he was looking for O'Brien. Pearce smashes it over the benches.
Michael Walters, sorry Aaron, has been a little bit quieter. He's only had the 6 and 2 behinds. 15
fantasy points, he's not on the negative anymore. I'm sure anyone that does on him wouldn't be impressed either way. Tossed back into play. True centre wing. Philthorpe front position against Jackson, won it down. Schomburg on hands and knees, front and square, couldn't control it. O'Meara rips it away. Uses Liam Henry. Back to Brayshaw, little 1-2 for the Dockers. Cross right half back. Henry fakes. Underground handball. Put Wilson in a bit of trouble. Did well. Spun away from the shoal tackle. Heads up to right half forward. Walters outnumbered 2-on-1. Turde should have taken it. Went to ground. Walters now battling with Michael Annie. And the junior wins out. Hands it off to Hinge. His kick is poor. On the left, under a bit of pressure. He was on the paint already and then kicked it over the boundary line. Brayshaw has it just behind right half back forward.
Plays on now. Long he goes with the kick. Dawson was at the back. Didn't need to get to him. There's a mark to, well, no, the umpire's called play on. I thought that was a clear mark to Duday at the front. The umpire said Taberner had a hand on it. So we get a ball up, 25 out to the right. As Fremantle attacking that end of the ground, the southern end. Ball in tight, O'Meara slipped it out to the ruckman Darcy. High, 20 from goal. Walters in the middle, had a huge leap. Came to Michael Annie, then to Schomburg. Forward hand pass. Good stuff, good strength from Soligo. Then he makes a tackle because Brayshaw intercepted a hand pass. Michael Annie smothered a kick. Back to Brayshaw again. Forward to Jackson. Jackson has a snap and away to the right. Under pressure, the big ruckman from the forward pocket. So Adelaide again will bring the ball back into play. Second half has been nothing, I must say, to write home about. First half was pretty good from Adelaide, certainly a 6-goal lead at half-time. And it remains at 29 points as Dawson goes out to the eastern side with his kick.
2 goals each so far in the fourth. Adelaide by 29. Out on the eastern side. Philthorpe marked and then gave it off to Murphy. Now Jones just behind centre wing. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams with you. Coming up next, the MCG game between the Tigers and the Dogs. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Ramanauskas, Nathan Burke. Short kick to Rochelle, who heads back, finds Duday. They switch across centre half back.
Adelaide are out.
Miller up to Smith, over the top to Scholl. They've got more options up forward if he wants to use them, but he's looked inside. Scholl finally pops it over the top. Hits Smith. Freo have numbers in defensive 50. Smith certainly can't kick to the hole. He's going to have to play on and go long. Heads towards the top of the goal square. Darcy's got front position, edged out of it by Thilthorpe. Spilled down to Taylor Walker. Can snap from 15 and count through his fourth. The Texan dazzling at the Adelaide Oval. And that's the dagger the Crows were chasing. Up by 35 points. They'll be 2-2. The big game against the Blues on Thursday night. 14-9-93 plays 8-10-58. Time on in the fourth on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he just stayed away from the contest, and two defenders went up against two Adelaide players. It came straight into his lap, and as he does so regularly, just that easy snap, either left or right, but this one over his left shoulder.
He's good at that, isn't he? He could teach those young boys actually how to slide that one across the foot, because he doesn't miss too many of those.
It has been a bit quieter in this second half. It's a 2. Adelaide only the 1-goal-4 in the third to Fremantle 2-goal-2. And here in this quarter, Adelaide have kicked the 3-1 to 2-4. Fremantle have tried to pull the trigger a little bit more in the second half, but just haven't managed to finish off as they end up with a footy in the middle.
Thilthorpe. Might have been a 666 infringement then. Thilthorpe handed it off, and then the kick went long inside forward 50. Pearce with the intercept mark for Freo. And then he chipped it short. And they come away through Cox. Spread it wide onto this side of the ground. Taken by Schultz. Down to half forward. Lead up by Tabernet. Mark quickly off to Henry. Ran around one. Hand pass inside. Tried to find Sarong. He was surrounded, in fact. Taken by Rochelle. Chipped it over the top. And Gallant couldn't get to it. Aish with the intercept for Fremantle, right in the centre of the ground.
Great afternoon for James Aish, but not for his Dockers. Heads wide to Hayden Young. Flat spearing kick into the 50, just a little bit too high for Darcy. And diving low at the back is Riley Thilthorpe to take the intercept mark in defensive 50. On the 45, his kick was nothing. Straight to an empty hole between four Dockers. Smith forced to tackle, held up Luke Ryan, coming through. Scholl lost it. Holding the ball, Brayshaw could have gone, instead holds it up.
If you go back to round one last year against Fremantle, he was the one on the halfback that actually came inside with almost a similar kick. Missed the body, Fremantle went down and kicked the goal to put him in front.
Ryan kicks it to 45 out. There's a crunch there in the contest as Darcy goes to ground. It spills out to Young. Bang on 55 on the boundary line, heads to the top of the square. Murray juggled it. Thilthorpe ripped it away from him. Gave it off to O'Brien. 2 days brought down in the tackle. Somehow got it away. Sloane's now run down by Johnson. Play continues. At the back, Dawson can finally clear for Adelaide, although Young is there again and holds it in with one arm whilst fending off Gallant. So again, another entry to come. I think it's been 3 inside 50s in the space of a couple of minutes for Hayden Young. Puts it in the path of the left forward pocket, looking for Darcy. Bounces off his hands to the back. Banfield may have been held. He had 3 to beat, and it's rushed through for a minor score. 34-point lead to Adelaide as Fremantle moved to 8-11-59. The Crows 14-9-93.
Just over 5 minutes remaining.
Adelaide through Dawson, short straight away into the pocket to Hinge, and then back across the goal to Dawson. And Dawson now looks out to the eastern side. Another short pass finds Duday. Duday says, well, I've only been manned up there by the ruckman, so he plays on, goes wide with the kick. Cox at the back of the pack, pulls in a nice mark. Hand passes off to Young, and Young goes back inside forward 50. Dawson was surely pushed down. Umpire called play on Duday, and then Rochelle wasn't a great hand pass. Intercepted by Walters. His hand pass taken by Miller for Adelaide. Now it comes back to Dawson. Boy, this is scrappy. Comes to Brayshaw. Another ordinary hand pass. Banfield, they're trying to smuggle it forward Fremantle. Still the umpire calling play on. Comes to Sloane off his left foot. Just clears out the area. And as it turns out, naturally, it wasn't marked. It'll go over the boundary line. Gallant dived at it. Couldn't bring it in. And we'll get a ball, a throw in I should say, out there on the eastern side of the ground at right half back for Adelaide. Scrappy bit of play. Closing moments really of this match. 34 points, Adelaide the front runners and winners at this stage.
O'Brien took it out of the ruck contest, gave it to Sloane. Had a bit of a fumble trying to get away from 2, but got it to Murphy in the end. Rochelle off a step. Errant kick down the line. It's cut off by Pearce. The Dockers skipper, one of their better defenders today. That kick is poor. over the head of Sarong, straight in the path of Scholl, who gives it off to Keys. They're out here through the square. Keys inside 50, bit too long for Thilthorpe. Foot race between him and Pearce in the scoreboard pocket. Thilthorpe wins out. Thilthorpe can snap from 20. Thilthorpe for gold. Riley Thilthorpe has his first in the dying stages at the Adelaide Oval. 7 straight for the year. The pick 2 is certainly starting to live up to the hype. 40-point lead to Adelaide, 15-9-99, plays 8-11-59, 25 minutes played in the fourth.
I was singing the praises of Brandon Walker with his run and rebound and his defensive work on Isaac Rankin for most of the game, but he's just run straight past Riley Thilthorpe too, didn't give Alex Pearce any help or support, and he's just split the both of them and come back onto his left.
Not
Really
bad
poor
for
defending.
202 centimetres and 103 kilos to be able to move like that. He's just showing us what the Adelaide supporters have got to look forward to for the next 10 years.
And on the left foot, if you don't mind.
Yes.
So, out of the middle again, it'll be Adelaide. Well, Adelaide, I thought, had it. Then Brayshaw picked it up as a couple of Crows overran it. Brayshaw goes down to half forward, finds Bailey Banfield for Fremantle. Inside forward 50, stabs the pass, couldn't get it to his full forward and Taberner. It came off hands. Walters took it, snapped, and kicked it through for the minor score. So it's now a 39-point lead. So 40 was the game-high margin. Now it's at 39 points. And it's 26 minutes down in the final quarter here at the Adelaide Oval on Grandstand AFL.
The Crows have the Blues Thursday night to start gather round. The Dockers have the Suns at Norwood on Friday night. Precarious position for Fremantle. The Suns, I imagine, will be in a similar spot, both hungry for a victory. On a ground foreign to both of them. Adelaide cleared it out to the western wing. It's knocked off hands for a boundary throw in front of the benches. Thanks for all your texts, by the way. I've got a great education on yellow belly and fish and snakes from our listeners.
It's good eating too, apparently, Gemmo.
Oh, beautiful. I love fish. Love a fish burger.
Darcy wins out. Tapped it down to Brayshaw. Socket off the deck up to half forward. Dawson charges in, threw his body on the line. Picked it up, was sandwiched. Threw it out actually at the last moment, but the whistle had already been blown. So a ball up attacking edge of the square.
Is it a great game, Jordan Dawson? He could win the Showdown medal today. He's been really good.
Slapped down by O'Brien, straight to Hayden Young. Another inside 50 for the Dockers defender. Bounce for Jackson, who handed it off to Henry. Just had too much pace. Overran the delivery, and Adelaide can escape. Schomburg with the clearing kick, although it will come straight back as Clark beats Saligo in the one-on-one.
With a Showdown Derby medal, isn't it, right? So Clark, down the line he goes. Off hands, O'Meara took it. Tried to get through. Hand passed into space. Jackson picked it up. Then Walters. And then O'Meara from the boundary line centres up, looking for Taberner. It went over the back. Keys was onto it. He tapped it, got Bailey Banfield high, surely. Umpire said no. It's play on. McHenry, dummy to hand pass. He's caught, he's gone. That'll be a free kick for sure.
Surely we call it the Tony Modra medal. Crossy?
Played at both clubs, yep. But it'll be Hughes who was the recipient of the free kick. So 40 out, 45-degree angle from the eastern side of the ground. So the right side for a left footer. In he comes. Umpire doesn't move. And there's a late goal for Fremantle. But not much enthusiasm, surprisingly, from the fans here at the Adelaide Oval, the 35,000 or 33,000 plus that are here this afternoon. So Fremantle gets a late one. Adelaide 15-9-99. Fremantle 9-12-66. 28 down, final turn.
Small supporter group behind the northern end goals. Just the purple and white army.
A good 3-hour flight from WA to South Australia. Do you reckon we'll get many during gather round?
I think they're talking about there's 14 flights, I think, coming over.
Nice.
From Perth.
You need them because often the flights out of WA get delayed or cancelled because there's usually a couple a day and they end up behind. Speaking from experience, but my family has had some trouble with travelling the past year.
Like I humbly went overseas at Christmas time, lost my luggage for 7 days, and then went to Queenstown only 3 weeks ago and lost my luggage for 2 days. Got about 48 pairs of jocks.
Crows by 33. Another centre clearance for Fremantle. Darcy down to Sarong. Brayshaw spears it to Tabner. Just couldn't hold it. Murray behind him, brought him to ground. Now the tackle from Smith on Henry to hold things up. He was out there in front of Tabner. Has had a couple this afternoon after a goalless stretch. Tossed up, 35 out for Fremantle's goal. Darcy goes down and Sloan rips it away from him as he fell. Clearing kick up towards the squares. Charging in Saligo, bounced off a couple, did enough to force the footy to Thilthorpe. Switches to Jones, now out to the eastern side. Fumble by McHenry, they were out. Gives Fremantle a couple of seconds. Kick works anyway. Hits Schomburg forward to centre wing. Calling for an option. No one's really leading. Heads to the scoreboard pocket. Rankin jostling, uses the body with Clark. Takes it on the chest, tight angle, 45 out to the right. Had a couple of options inside, won't use them. He turns his back and decides, I want to have a crack at my third of the afternoon.
Doesn't mind taking his time, Isaac Rankin, for a shot on goal, does he?
Hey, I love it when he fakes he's going to use someone, then he fakes he's going to use someone else, but he's got no intention.
So Isaac Rankin, 4 goals last week. This will be tough work for his third. Comes in, plenty of force. This will be special. Isaac Rankin, magical!
That's why you don't pass it off, Gemmo.
Yeah, that is why.
Spectacular finish from the tightest of angles. Isaac Rankin can play. They've found something special out of the Suns. He's got 3. Adelaide back up by 39 with their 16th of the afternoon. 16-9, 105. Plays Fremantle 9-12-66 as we approach the final side.
Well, he's had his moments today. He hasn't been as solid as he's been in, particularly last week, but he's had 3 goal 2 with the 15 disposals. He's had 5 tackles, so defending well when it's in the forward 50. 9 contested, 7 ground ball gets. Just dangerous and takes a really good defender to shut him down. He doesn't need too much time and it can be damaging.
It'll be a big win for Adelaide. They're building nicely to the 2023 campaign. In the middle, O'Brien won it down. Spills to centre half forward for the Crows, but Brayshaw's there. His handball volleyed out of the air by Keys, though, up to the top of the goal square. Thilthorpe lost the flight of it. Cox at the back. Kicked it into his teammate. Ricochets out to McHenry. Rochelle can snap from 30. Rochelle! Everything's coming up Adelaide. 3 for Rochelle. 17 for the Crows. 45 points the margin.
It's probably blowing out now to about what it's worth, Gemmo. The Crows have really been the dominant team all day. Freo were able to hold up, but the damn wall has sort of broken in the last 10 minutes and Adelaide are able to put a few on the board to give them the lead that they deserve.
It's a critical mistake. Brennan Cox, like he was on his right foot deep on the line. He was coming around. He could have come long to the boundary, got it 50 or 60 out of the defence. He stopped, came back inside and kicked it straight into Alex Pearce. And then the football's dribbled about 15, 20 metres just directly in front and Rochelle finished off. It's a poor mistake.
The Dockers had won 4 of the last 5 against the Crows, all by a margin of 20 or less. Adelaide has blown that out. In the middle, Darcy wins it down the throat of the sub, Johnson. His handball's a turnover, though. Gave it off to Sloan, who's brought down in the tackle. Free kick, Sarong. Hands it off to Brayshaw. Inside 50 go the Dockers. Dying stages, Taberner caught behind, had to spoil. Henry charges through. Did he get boot to ball on the siren? They're going to pay the goal. So Adelaide will win by 39 points. They continue to build momentum as the Dockers season unravels.
Adelaide Crows were courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation, our determination shows. We're the pride of South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
The Crows led all afternoon, a 17-point lead at quarter time, blew out to 36 at the half, 32 at three-quarter time, and they held on to win by 39 points. 3 goals to Rochelle and Rankin, 4 to Walker. 2 to Saligo and Gallant. Singles to Thilthorpe, Dawson and Millerer. For the Dockers, 2 to Schultz and Tabner and Banfield. Singles to Amos, Henry, Hughes. Fremantle look woeful. Adelaide, meanwhile, gee, they're starting to build into this season. Carlton on Thursday night, they're rolling at 2-2.
Where the mighty Adelaide grow. Yes, the pride of South Australia. Where the mighty Adelaide grow.
33,725 soaking it in on this Easter Saturday. Still to come. For our listeners in the ACT, we'll take you to our NRL coverage. Everybody else, you're off to the MCG for Richmond and the Western Bulldogs. Hopefully we can squeeze in the song in the next 5 minutes. Jamo, Steve, what'd you make of that?
Yeah, I just thought Adelaide were too good. It was competitive early in the match, but Adelaide were able to get that lead by 17 points at quarter time, out to 36 at half time. Freo, a bit of a stand in that third quarter where they defended well. Adelaide actually dominated the play, but they weren't able to score. Freo were able to sneak a couple through and take the lead back to 32 at three-quarter time, but then Adelaide were able to finish off quite nicely to win by 39 points, and a really good effort once again, kicking well over 100 points, 17 goal 9, so a good conversion rate, and their big forwards, once again, Walker got 4, Rochelle got 3, Rankin got 3, so everything's looking pretty good for the Crows. Phil Thorpe, I thought, was really good as far as his ability to back up O'Brien in the ruck. He took some nice marks. Gemma was able to get around the ground, and just a smart footy brain, handles the ball really well. So the Crows will be really happy with the position that they've got themselves in, and they'd fancy themselves on Thursday night against the Blues.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, isn't it, too? And probably the game for Fremantle started well and then really struggled for maybe a quarter and a half to 2 quarters, and then really changed the way. And then the last quarter probably got going a little bit better, the more like we and the Fremantle supporters would like to see of them. They just started to take the game on. They moved the football quicker. They got it in forward. They weren't able to finish off the work that they did. But Angus Brayshaw, 31 disposals, another good game. Sarong in the middle of the ground. Luke Ryan. Jaeger O'Meara, I thought his game was pretty good. It got better and better as the game did go on. James Aish probably had control of Rory Laird in the first half, but lost a little bit in the second half. Rory Laird with 28 disposals and a fair bit of the footy. James Aish was finished up with 17. Sean Darcy, I just think, his work rate and his ruck work today, outstanding. 38 hit-outs to 29. It's not too often Riley O'Brien gets a bit of a touch-up, but I felt he did today around the ground. Hit-outs to advantage, 13 to 9. And then just gave the football to Sarong, O'Meara and Brayshaw for clearance work and first possession. So a really good game by him.
First game of the year for Stephen Williams, so I think I'll handball the votes to him this afternoon. Steve, who do you have in the ABC Football?
Well, now that you've thrown that on me, I'm looking at giving one vote to... Let me look here. One vote to...
Let me... Well,
all right,
no, you keep going. You have a look. So I guess there were probably from Adelaide's perspective, the back line really held up exceptionally well today, and Nick Murray was great. Jordan Butts got subbed out of the game.
No injury, by the way, if you're just joining us.
Yeah,
but the confidence clearly there from Nixie that they've decided, hey, we don't even need Butts in the final quarter, we can sub him off.
Well, I think he had a bit of a shoulder concern maybe a couple of weeks ago, so they maybe just looking after him late in the game. Gave Schoenberg an opportunity too, but thought Phil Thorpe got back. Wayne Miller, he's almost like a new recruit, isn't he, too? He's come to the game, he's missed so much football. Well, throw back to Steve.
Okay, I've given one vote to Rory Laird, just his ability. James Aish, as we talked about, had control of him in the first half, but he just keeps continuing to work hard, get hold of the footy, and he had a game-high 28 disposals. I gave 2 votes to Josh Shaliga. I'm just really impressed with him. He's had 21 disposals, gone at 81%, 367 metres game, kicked a couple of goals, but just a one-touch player, and he's going to be a really important midfielder for Adelaide in years to come. And I thought their captain, Jordan Dawson, was the best player on the ground. He had 28 disposals, went at 93%, had 10 ground ball gets, 14 contested possessions, 5 inside 50s and 5 clearances, and a really good game. So that's my 3-2-1.
Great to have you two back together, because Jamo had those exact votes down and waited to see how you'd call it. So 3 to Dawson, 2 to Saligo, 1 to Rory Laird. Thanks to Rod Jamison, Stephen Williams, Andrew Williamson, our tech, to Crossy for calling alongside me. Also back in the studio to Craig Davis. Coming up next, we're headed to the MCG for Richmond and the Western Bulldogs with Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke. For listeners in the ACT, you're off to the NRL. A reminder tonight, St Kilda and the Gold Coast available to you on the AFL button on the ABC Listen app at the Docklands there. Meanwhile, the Swans and the Power available from the SCG on the AFL Extra button. Adelaide winners by 39 points. 4 goals to Walker, 3 to Rochelle and Rankin, 3 votes to Jordan Dawson, who finishes with 28 and a goal. They get set for Carlton on Thursday night. Can't wait for you to be with us on Gather Round.